Chapter 30-28 Fighting Qin Xiu Hansun. Everybody knew that it was Hansun in front of the Jino Hall. Hansun was standing near it. He looked at Qin Xiu, but did not do anything. Qin Xiu saw Hansun and coldly said, "This is not a place you should be." Hansun heard his words. He knew that back in the Holy Garden, Qin Xiu's soul was not so simple. Qin Xiu recognized him. All he did was interact with Qin Xiu's soul. "I do not want to be here, but you have done something that made me come," Hansun said while looking at Qin Xiu. "To see you what thing?" Qin Xiu kept suppressing God, but he still had the strength to talk to Han Senator. His face did not change. It looked like he still had a whole heap of power. "Leave that body," Hansun said. "He does not belong to you." Qin Xiu looked at Hansun and asked, "Is this body related to you?" "It is my son," Hansun said. It was not just Qin Xiu that was shocked by this revelation. All the elites outside the Jino Hall heard what was spoken and reacted similarly. No one would have been able to guess Qin Xiu's reborn body was Hansun's son. Everyone's expressions changed. Qin Xiu laughed. "Good old cat. Good plan. It is no wonder he gave me this body. That explains why. If it was you, I would have to be wary." Sky Palace leader and the very high leader looked at each other. They could tell the other was shocked. Qin Xiu was not scared of facing god spirits that were above reboot class god spirits. Now he was saying something like this, and these were not insane words. They still did not understand why Qin Xiu was scared of Han Senator if it was because Hansun had blue blood power and managed to defeat Moment God. Then it made no sense. Blue blood power came from Qin Xiu. If Hansun received blue blood power from someone, and that made him afraid, no one would have believed it. Qin Xiu said, "Although I am sorry, I cannot give you this body. If you want to use Wanner to threaten me, you are wrong." "Is that one person you said, not Wanner?" Hansun wanted to use Wanner to swap for Little Flower, but he did not expect Qin Xiu to close down that prospect already. "You are right. I can do anything for Wanner. I also know that if I cannot break the Jino Hall, then it would be pointless even if Wanner lived." Qin Xiu laughed and said, "Plus, I know that you are not a person who is selfish and would be so willing to do something so cruel to an innocent girl. Maybe I am like you and am willing to commit any crime for the safety of one person," Hansun coldly replied. Qin Xiu smiled even harder. "In that case you won't hurt Wanner because she is my life. Without her life, I cannot live. If I cannot live, this body will die. So, that leaves you and me with the need to fight." Hansun knew there was no point in talking any further. Swapping Little Flower for Wanner wasn't going to be possible. "No one can stop me from destroying the Jino Hall. And that includes you," Qin Xiu said. "As a reward for taking care of Wanner, I will not kill you." "I will," Hansun coldly said. Qin Xiu coldly laughed. He said, "I am not looking down on you. As your body has my blood coursing through its veins. You are like my clone. Do you think a clone can be better than the real stuff? We will just have to find out, won't we?" Hansun cast Blood Pulse Sutra. His entire body glowed with a blue light. "Are you using my power to fight me? You are too naive." Qin Xiu had a cold expression. Blue symbols flickering across his armor. He was not fighting Han Senator, he still kept God suppressed. It was like Hansun was not worth his attention. The blue light in Hansun grew stronger. He approached Qin Xiu. Every step he took became stronger. He was like a battle god prepared to fight the sky. Qin Xiu asked, "Can you practice my blue blood gene to such a high level? That is very shocking. Compared to me back then, it isn't too bad. But now? I am not the old me. Plus, that power belongs to me. No one can use my powers to hurt me." Hansun did not say anything. He threw a punch at Qin Xiu. A scary blue light ripped the rules and everything around. A power that could destroy the world was headed straight for Qin Xiu. Blue blood power did not fit into the rules of the universe. And this power dealt a lot of damage to the rules of the universe. Hansun's punch was able to break a big system. An elite like Moment God would have been killed with one hit. Faced with that scary power, Qin Xiu did not bother dodging. He also did not bother fighting back. He allowed the scary blue light to fall upon his back. It was like a spring sun thawing the snow. As the scary blue light hit Qin Xiu's body, it did nothing. It melted into the armor. The blue symbols absorbed it and grew brighter. Qin Xiu's body was only made stronger. I said my power cannot hurt me, Qin Xiu coldly said. Outside the Geno Hall, the expressions of many elites changed. Qin Xiu was scarier than even their wildest nightmares could have depicted. Although they believed Han Sen could not defeat Qin Xiu, they did not expect him to lose so badly. He had been unable to harm Qin Xiu. He had only managed to lend him power. Really? Han Sen's face did not change. He gathered up power and threw a punch at Qin Xiu. This time, the light of his fists became red. It was different from the blue. It was the opposite. Qin Xiu frowned. He looked shocked. He felt a bit confused, but he did not want to give up on breaking the Geno Hall. He raised his fist and threw a punch at Han Sen's incoming strike. Blue and white, the two colors of weird power, struck Han Sen's blood power. The blood color dyed the blue and white colors red. In the blink of an eye, Qin Xiu's armor turned red. How could this happen? Did you reverse the blue blood power? Qin Xiu's eyes were wide open. His body was devolving, and his power was fading. God, who was previously suppressed, was now able to fight back. His god light was glowing. He bounced Qin Xiu, who was breaking the Geno Hall, away. Pang! Qin Xiu's body broke a pillar. His body devolved. The blue patterns on his armor dimmed. The blue light in his eyes also dimmed. Chapter 30-29 Don't belong to this world. Qin Xiu's God spirit level and universe level were quickly devolving. Even though he had combined with the Holy Spine and an Annihilation class God spirit, his level was suddenly lowered to something comparative to a Disaster class God spirit. He was also getting worse. Little Flower's universe level was falling too. True God, butterfly larva. It kept going down. Sky Palace leader and the other elites were both shocked and happy. Han Sen had the name Han Godfather, but no one would have believed he had the power to defeat Qin Xiu. Seeing Qin Xiu's body's God spirit level drop from disaster class, the Geno Hall no longer protected his body. He stopped hesitating. Han Sen used the strongest power possible to try and kill Qin Xiu and remove the universe's biggest threat. All kinds of power that could destroy the sky and ground rained down. It was all going to kill Qin Xiu. Suddenly, there was the flash of a shadow. Qin Xiu disappeared. The space was broken by a scary power. It caved in and became a black hole. Very High Leader shouted. Han Sen, what are you doing? If you don't kill him now, what if he? Everyone saw Han Sen use one hand to grab Qin Xiu as he appeared on the other side of space. They quickly noticed something. Qin Xiu had taken over the body of Han Sen's son. Han Sen would not watch his son be killed. Han Sen, Qin Xiu is a demon that wants to destroy the universe, Very High Leader said. We cannot grant him a chance. Kill him now, or there will be consequences. Han Sen coldly responded. I don't care what Qin Xiu thinks, but my son cannot be allowed to die. Seeing Qin Xiu's body devolving, Han Sen grabbed him. Qin Xiu, leave my son's body. I don't care about anything more than that. I don't even want to take your life. The blue light in Qin Xiu's eyes was very cold. He could not move because Han Sen restricted him, but he laughed and said, Han Sen, I never imagined you would be able to reverse the blue blood gene power. That is a genius move. I never tried it before, so that surprises me. Stop talking crap. Leave my son's body. Han Sen grabbed Qin Xiu and kept using the Xian Yellow Sutra power on him. He continued to suppress Qin Xiu's body and ensure he continued to devolve. Qin Xiu laughed like a madman. It was like he had not heard what Han Sen had told him. He spoke to himself and said, I should have guessed this. That is very good. I am so happy. For Han Sen wanted to say something, but a grand power suddenly came out of Qin Xiu's body. In his eyes, which were once dim blue, there was a light that was red. The blue patterns on the armor turned red. The light was scarier than it was when it was blue. It was like his whole body was wrapped in a red flame. The light on the back of the wings had even turned red. It turned the whole of space red. The universe was reflecting the color red. Han Sen's power struck Qin Xiu's power. It was blasted away. Their faces looked dim. Very High Leader and the others were incredibly shocked. Anyone was able to tell that Han Sen had learned the power that could make God spirits drop their level. In the past, Qin Xiu was invincible. Now he had Han Sen's power. Wouldn't that make people hopeless? Seeing Qin Xiu's power explode, his God spirit and body levels had recovered. Very High Leader immediately roared. He pushed his very high sense to the max. His entire body combined with the universe's rule power. He became sheer pressure focused on Qin Xiu. At the same time he shouted, "Before he recovers, we must kill him." Many elites of the universe did not hesitate. They all used their strongest powers to attack Qin Xiu. Boom! Qin Xiu looked at the sky and roared. A shockwave of red blasted out of him. It broke the powers wielded by Very High Leader and the other scary elites. It also blasted their bodies away. The most shocking thing was that Very High Leader noticed their bodies were devolving. They themselves were dropping to butterfly class and continued to devolve. Aside from Han Sen, no one else escaped that power. "It is all over," a Very High Elder said. His face was pale. He looked utterly hopeless. It was not just him. The elites of the entire universe knew it was over. Qin Xiu had learned Han Sen's power, and he was doing even better with it. "Thank you, Han Sen," Qin Xiu said. "Without you, I would have never thought the blue blood's gene power could be used this way." His entire body blazed with a blue flame as he approached the Geno Hall. "I did not create this," Han Sen said as he stared at Qin Xiu. "I know," Qin Xiu said with a nod. "If I have guessed correctly, this was done by Old Cat. But you are the one who performed it. That is your achievement." "Get out of my way," Qin Xiu said. "You cannot stop me. With your power, I will break the Geno Hall and have its destruction benefit you. I can make you become the leader of the world. I can make you bigger than God." "Leave Little Flower's body," Han Sen seriously said. "I don't care what else you do. If you insist on trying to stop me, do not blame me for forgetting your kindness of taking care of Wanner," Qin Xiu said. His body exploded with a blood flame. He teleported to Han Sen and tried to grab him by the chest. Han Sen generated the power of the Xian Yellow Sutra again. He threw a punch at Qin Xiu. Two blood powers combined. Han Sen noticed his Xian Yellow Sutra power was going into Qin Xiu. It gave Qin Xiu more power. Qin Xiu grabbed Han Sen's fist and calmly said, "You are strong. I will give you that, but your power originates from me. No matter how hard you try, you cannot be greater than me. In this universe, aside from me, no one can really use this power. Do you know why?" "Why?" Han Sen wanted to shake Qin Xiu's hand away, but he noticed his body's power was not listening to him. It was like he had been sucked in by a very strong magnet. He kept going toward Qin Xiu. "Because I do not belong to this world," Qin Xiu said. "My power does not belong to this world. And you belong to this world. Even though your body has my gene blood, you do not have the power to control the world. Old Cat spent so much effort, and even died placing his faith in you. But he will never understand his plans were doomed to failure. He was wrong from the very start." He used his other hand to grab Han Sen's forehead through space. Han Sen felt his Sea of Soul shake. Destiny's Tower lost all control. It flew out of the Sea of Soul and went into Qin Xiu's hands. Catcha! Destiny's Tower broke. The stuff inside fell out, including Wanner. Qin Xiu used one hand to hold her body. Chapter 30 Not the end. Han Sen, although I do not want to kill you for Wanner, whoever stops me must die. If you have any last words, you should say them now. For Wanner's sake, if it does not get in my way, I will let you finish it." Qin Xiu was looking at Wanner as he spoke. "I want you to die." The power in Han Sen's body madly exploded. He stopped trying to get away from Qin Xiu. He used his power to push Qin Xiu. "That is a shame," Qin Xiu said with a sigh. He held Han Sen's fist. His hand suddenly used power to punch Han Sen in the chest. It made Han Sen's body fly away. Pang! Han Sen's body was like an asteroid traveling through space. It struck a planet and then another planet. In the end, he hit a final planet. He made no more sound. It was unknown how many systems he had traveled. After Han Sen disappeared, Wanner's body was glowing with a golden light. She turned into golden hair lady mode and woke up from her slumber. Big brother. After her eyes opened, Wanner saw Qinxiu. Although she was still in golden hair mode, she was not raging. Her voice sounded so sweet. Wanner, hang on a bit longer. Big brother will take you back. Qinxiu stroked Wanner's golden hair. His eyes looked like they were drunk. Yes, Wanner said with a nod. She closed her eyes and leaned against Qinxiu's chest. God, today no one will be able to stop me. Give it up. Qinxiu was holding Wanner. He raised his head to peer upon the Geno Hall. His body glowed with a red flame. He crushed the very light of the Geno Hall and almost extinguished it entirely. The Geno Hall, which had never fallen, was being suppressed by that scary power. The walls cracked like dragonflies. The whole of the Geno Hall was starting to crumble apart. When the Geno Hall fell, the disasters plaguing the entire universe were worse. It was not just affecting normal creatures either. Even king-class elites were significantly affected. The entire world was in bad shape. It was like the universe was going to experience a big bang. God stood before the Geno Hall, but he was unable to withstand the suppression of the blood power. The holy light on his body was becoming weaker. The race lanterns of the Geno Hall were becoming dimmer. It was like they would be put out any second. The spirits were charcoal. Everything was dying. The faces of Sky Palace leader and all the other elites looked like dust. Although they wanted to fight, they could not reclaim the battle. They could barely protect themselves. In the shine of the red flame, their bodies almost fell out of deified class. Qinxiu spoke to the still-suffering god. God, give up. If you are willing to abandon the Geno Hall, possess someone, and descend into the universe, you might still live. This place is my life. God coldly said. If my life is not here, then what is the point of living? You are right. I think so too. If your life blocks my life, then I will have to just take your life. Qinxiu stepped forward. A sky full of blood light was marching alongside him. It broke the roof of the Geno Hall. Stone pillars cracked. Many race lanterns were almost put out inside that hall. The Geno Hall was unstable. It was as if it was going to break any second. God's body's holy light was crushed. It was almost put out. Even the bodies of the god spirits were dim and lifeless. They kept appearing and disappearing. It was like they were preparing to go. Boom. Many light pillars arose from space. It was the god palaces splitting up. They landed on all kinds of god temples. Many god lights arose from the god temples. They went through space and melted into the Geno Hall. It made the Geno Hall look very bright. God's god spirit body was being shined on by many god spirits. He looked bright again. If you guys want to die that much, then you can all die together. Qinxiu was holding Wanner. He was like a demon descending on the Geno Hall. He walked there slowly. Although it had the support of a sky full of god spirits' god power, the Geno Hall was still unable to withstand the pressure exerted by Qinxiu. The god hall kept breaking. The more the god hall kept breaking, the more disasters that were incurred across the universe. The entire universe was in turmoil. Countless creatures died in the disasters. In the universe, the ground of an old, unimportant planet was breaking. A volcano was erupting. It swallowed many forests. Floodwaters rushed across the ground. Amidst that chaos, there was a totally quiet mountain. All those disasters did not affect that small mountain. There was a broken house on the small mountain's peak. Behind the house, there was a garden with a white cloth flag. The flag said, "Count all the destinies." The white cloth had been dyed red. Between the black and white, the words "Count all the destinies" stood out. A man's body was perched on the top of the flagpole. It had been pierced through the tip of the pole. He was lying there with his limbs spread out. He was looking into space while the pole pierced through him. His eyes looked faithless. Fresh blood left his body. It dripped onto the cloth flag, and quickly dyed it red. The person who flew out was Han Sun, who had been punched by Qinxiu. It was unknown if this was just a coincidence, but he had landed near that old house. The flagpole in the backyard had pierced through his body. Han Jinji was standing in the back garden talking to Han Sun while he looked at the cloth. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. The children of other people can enjoy their lives. It is such a shame you were born to be a part of the Han family. You were born to the Han family. If you were just a commoner, you could live safely. But you did not become a commoner. You had to be famous. This is fate. It was meant to be. There is a lot of suffering you must endure, and you deserve it all. I am useless. I cannot save your life, and I cannot change fate. All I can do is try to make changes for you. It still depends on you whether or not you want to change your fate. The people of the Han family cannot solely depend on the sky or earth. It all depends on you. If you do not want to die and still have things you wish to do, use your own power to get up. Walk back and fight for your life. Go and fight for what is left for you to do in this world. The blood from Han Sen's body bled into the cloth and continued to gush. His blood had almost run out by this point. Han Sen's mind was strangely clear. It was just his body that was not listening to him. He felt as if his mind had left his body. It was unknown why Han Sen's mind had become so clear. The quiet feelings were amazing. It was hard to describe. Is this the quietness Han Yufei described? Han Sen enjoyed that stillness. A power was burning inside him. The white flame burst out from all of his cells. The flag burned in the white light. It was like a torch burning it. I knew it. I knew it. This is not the end. Han Jinja's eyes looked bright. His whole body was shaking. Chapter 30-31 Exposed Kacha. The pillars of the Geno Hall were broken. The door was broken too. One was able to see the door had flames waving. All the race lanterns were becoming bright and dark like they were going to be put out by a raging storm. When the Geno Hall fell, all the god temples were shaken away by the god light. It seemed as if the god temples and universe were dead. Aside from hopeless cries, there were no other sounds. Even the sky full of god spirits went silent. There were only the sounds of breaking. Such a disaster. I wonder how many creatures in the universe can survive all this. Sky Palace leader's face was cold like ice. There were even all sorts of disasters in Sky Palace. The White Jade Jing Tower and Jade City were revealed. A holy air came out from there. The holy air of the White Jade Jing was headed for Sky Palace. It made the people of Sky Palace cry. If there had been no elites and the support of the holy gourd vine, Sky Palace would have been broken by the holy air. Outer Sky was not faring any better. The ground cracked. Loads of holy air pillars came out like volcanic eruptions, making the ground leak. Xenogeniacs were running around like mad. All law and order was broken. Sky Palace and Outer Sky were like that too. Other xenogeniac spaces and normal planets were like that as well. The universe is going to end. A hopeless fear was in every creature's heart. No one knew if they would survive this disaster. Wah, wah. In a stream, a Kate baby was floating. There was a sad crying sound. In the flood's roaring, it sounded quiet. In a volcanic eruption, many cities and villages were destroyed. Some planets were even hit by asteroids and blew up. Open it for me. Qin Xiu's eyes looked very passionate. With blood flame suppression, he crushed the Geno Hall's door. Shattered rocks were strewn everywhere. God's body was crushed. He slipped into the Geno Hall. He stopped before the 10,000 lanterns. Behind him, many of the race lanterns were out. When each race lantern was put out, one of the high races was heavily damaged. It made the races that were already suffering disasters fare even worse. God looked at Qin Xiu and said, "One person is making 1 billion races extinct. Is this really worth it?" Qin Xiu coldly said, "When I was in my most hopeless time, there was only one person next to me. To me, this world only consists of this one person. There are billions of creatures, but they mean nothing to me. I do not need to care about them." After that, Qin Xiu kept pushing forward to suppress the Geno Hall. Each step Qin Xiu took resulted in God taking one step back. He was going to strike the 10,000 race lanterns behind him. All the races knew that if the race lanterns were snuffed out, the Geno Hall would be done for. But no one was able to stop Qin Xiu. Even the strongest god could not prohibit Qin Xiu's march on the Geno Hall. Qin Xiu wanted to walk forward even more. He wanted to destroy the Geno Hall, but he suddenly stopped. His gaze was frozen. He turned around and looked into space. The hearts of the many hopeless races jumped. They did not know what happened. Why would Qin Xiu stop walking? It made them have a slight glimmer of hope. At this time, what in the universe could make Qin Xiu care? Many elites were feeling both confused and nervous. Most of the high races were already there. Under the suppression of Qin Xiu, even a true god elite had dropped out of deified class. No creatures were able to combat Qin Xiu. They were hoping and praying for a miracle to strike, but they knew the chance of a miracle was far too small. They still looked in the direction Qin Xiu was looking. They were hoping for something, but they did not spy any strong presence from that direction. Qin Xiu looked in that direction and said to himself, "What is going on? Is this just my imagination? Why do I feel restless?" He was feeling a strong sense of nervousness. Suddenly, the elite saw a white shadow slowly appear from that direction. It was not fast or have a powerful presence. It was like a morning sun rising into the sky. It walked into the Geno Hall's area. Sky Palace leader's eyes were the strongest. He saw the white shadow clearly, so he screamed aloud, "It's Han Sun. He is still alive." Many elites saw it clearly thereafter. It was Han Sun who had walked into the Geno Hall area. Han Sun was different from how he had been before. His body did not have the red fire. His body had a white color and was half transparent. He did not look like a creature from the universe. He looked like a god spirit. Qin Xiu saw Han Sun step forward. His expression immediately changed. He stared at Han Sun as if he had seen something unbelievable. Impossible. The testing of super genes was not successful. How could a power like this exist? It cannot be the perfect super gene. It should have flaws like Wana does. Qin Xiu was talking to himself. Han Sun stopped a short distance away. His super god spirit mode was still affected by Wana's proximity. Han Sun looked at Qin Xiu and said, "Qin Xiu, leave Little Flower's body. This is your last chance." Qin Xiu coldly said, "I clearly underestimated you if your genes were able to evolve to this level. Even if you are so close to the super gene, you are still useless. Failure is failure. In front of Waner, who is even closer to super gene, your power will be suppressed." "Really?" Han Sun coldly asked. The story of genes was running in his body. When the story of genes ran, Han Sun's body was in xenogenic mode. Xenogenic mode and super god spirit mode were activated on Han Sun's body. It made his presence appear a bit strange. Dollar. Han Sun is dollar. All the creatures of the universe were suddenly frozen. They thought it was weird for Han Sun to be using super god spirit body. Now he had a xenogenic battle body. It was clear to them now. Anyone was able to tell that Han Sun and Dollar were the same person. "Han Sun and Dollar are the same person," Isha said. She looked very conflicted. She could not believe it. Her eyes opened wide. She thought about the past and looked even more complicated. Her face turned green, and her face turned white and red. She did not know how to think or feel. On Empty Mountain, the green-haired Growler's mouth opened wide. He did not close it. Now he understood why Golden Growler gave Dollar first place and adhered to what he told it. Oh my God! Godfather Han and Dollar are the same person. This is unbelievable. At the end of the world, many creatures were frozen. They could not believe their eyes. This guy. He has finally exposed himself. Wang Yuhang shrugged with his shoulders. He knew this would happen. The people in Space Garden were not so surprised. Han Sun never told them anything, but most of them had figured it out. Chapter 30-32 Admiring the view of hell together, Han Sun's body moved. His movement was not visible, but he was already coming before Qin Xiu. He grabbed Qin Xiu's head and pushed downward. Pang! Qin Xiu's head was pushed onto the stone floor by Han Sun's hands. His head hit the Geno Hall, making the very heavy god stone floor fracture. Qin Xiu's whole head was inside the undying, hot stones that were broken. Qin Xiu's eyes opened wide. His pupils looked as if they had lost their focus. He looked to be in total disbelief. Waner, who was in his hands, flew away and fell across the floor. Han Sun's hands were pressed upon Qin Xiu's forehead, and he continued to push him. Qin Xiu was unable to raise his head. His body had bloody flames wildly dancing. His hands gripped the ground to get up, but Han Sun was still pushing him. He was unable to get up. His eyes looked to be in disbelief at what was happening. He said to Han Sen, "Impossible. How can water not affect you?" "You discovered the story of genes," Han Sen coldly said. "Didn't you know that it has forever power? It cannot be affected by any power." The story of genes' power was waving through his cells. In the past, Han Sen was unable to make the story of genes' power be the best it could be. After he understood what it meant to become absolutely still, he understood what forever really meant. It was enough to control the body for real. Not even water could affect him now. No. Impossible. The story of genes cannot work. You must have the super gene to practice the story of genes. If you have super gene, then you do not have to practice the story of genes. This is a cycle that cannot work. It is impossible for it to work. After Qin Xiu spoke, the bloody fire madly exploded. He was going to send Han Sen flying. He only managed to raise his head 1 inch before Han Sen's hand pressed him down again. He was squashed against the rocks deeper than last time. His entire upper body was being pressed. Scary, bloody fire whipped around Han Sen's body, but it was unable to bring him a speck of harm. The reverse blood power that could downgrade a god spirit did not affect Han Sr. "Qin Xiu, it is time for you to pay the price." Han Sen pressed on Qin Xiu's body. His eyes flickered with a strange light. Qin Xiu's bloody fires were raging. He was like a volcano erupting. Although he could not get up, he laughed and said, "I did not expect a geno art that could not be successful like the story of genes was actually made successful by you. So what? Can you kill me? If I die, Little Flower dies with me. You cannot kill me." "Really?" Han Sen's face did not change. The light in his eyes started to look weird. The Dongxian Sutra's power was quietly floating through Han Sen's body. In Han Sen's eyes, the whole universe was split. It turned into the smallest substance that was completely primitive. Han Sen held Qin Xiu's forehead. His transparent hands were like nothing as they went straight into the helmet. It went through Little Flower's body. A blood-red shadow was pushed out from Little Flower's body by Han Sen's hands. He threw it on the floor. Little Flower's body flew away. The Godstone floor was like a spider web cracking in all directions. It created a giant stone hole. A red shadow was in the center of hole. That red shadow's face was like Qin Xiu's statue. Little Flower's body fell on the floor. He woke up. He coughed and climbed up off the ground. He looked at Han Sen in shock. "Father." Han Sen was holding Qin Xiu as he asked, "Are you okay?" "I am fine," Little Flower said with a shake of his head. "I am glad you are okay," Han Sen said as he stared at Qin Xiu. "You should leave. Someone will collect you and take you to Space Garden. I still need to deal with this guy. Please be careful, father." Little Flower knew staying would only hamper Han Senator. After saying that, he flew away from the Geno Hall. Han Sen said, "Qin Xiu, you are right. We are the same. We will do anything for something that we care about. Therefore you must die." The power in his hands suddenly increased. Super Spank power was going to turn Qin Xiu's spirit body into dust. Under the power of Super Spank, Qin Xiu's red spirit body kept turning into red dust as he faded. Qin Xiu's was still smiling. "Yes. We are the same. I understand you and you understand me." After that, Qin Xiu's eyes turned. He looked at Wanner, who was lying down nearby. "I, Qin Xiu, have never asked anybody anything, but may I ask you one thing?" "Speak," Han Sen said. The power in his hands increased to crush Qin Xiu's body. His spirit body was rapidly breaking. "If I win, you do not have to do it," Qin Xiu said. "If I lose, please could you take care of Wanner? All this crime is my doing. Wanner should not suffer from my sins since she never did anything wrong. She should not come to harm. Please take care of her. As long as she does not hurt anybody, for as long as I live, I will not allow any harm to come to her," Han Sen said. "Thank you very much." Qin Xiu's eyebrows raised. His body was changing. He looked weird as he went on to say, "To me this world is like hell, but this is Wanner's world. She has family and friends here. She does not want to see this world destroyed. I do not want to watch her die. I really can't do it." Qin Xiu closed his eyes. A weird sun arose in his red spirit body. Boom. When the power in Qin Xiu's body was released, the cracks underneath his body spread. It created a giant space crack. This space crack was different from ordinary space cracks. This space crack had a gray presence. It was weird. It made Han Sen feel like he was in danger. In Qin Xiu's presence, it was like a fish in water. The red fire was becoming stronger. Upon seeing this, God's expression changed. He looked at Han Sen and hurriedly said, "Hurry up and kill him. We cannot allow him to open the path of reverse." Han Sen realized how bad this was. Even though scary space power was consumed, the undying God stone melted like snow. In that space, the scary presence grew stronger. It was like a demon presence from a demon land. Han Sen was familiar with this power. When he was fishing in Outer Sky Lake, he had felt a similar presence. It was the presence of the anti-material world. Qin Xiu suddenly let out a weird laugh. "Han Sen, come and enjoy the view of hell together." Qin Xiu's hands suddenly grabbed Han Sen and pulled him into the space crack. Chapter 30-33 First year Han Sen wanted to kill Qin Xiu, but Qin Xiu's spirit body was extraordinarily tough. Even by using Super Spank at max power in a short time, he was unable to destroy Qin Xiu's spirit body. Qin Xiu pulled Han Sen into the crack in time and space. Wanner, who was next to them, fell inside as well. The three of them kept falling through that weird crack in time and space. Han Sen noticed his Super God Spirit mode could not stop the weird power of that tunnel. His body was being dissolved. What shocked Han Sen was the fact Qin Xiu did not seem to be affected by the power of the tunnel. He was not dissolving at all. Wanner's golden power could not withstand the reverse tunnel's weird power. Her body was dissolving too, but at a rate that was faster than Han Sr. Of course, the story of genes you possess did not succeed. Otherwise, you would not be dissolving in the reverse tunnel's power. Qin Xiu let Han Sen go and held on to Wanner as he spoke. Han Sen was shocked. This was his last chance to beat him. Qin Xiu was not affected by the reverse tunnel's power, but Han Sen was affected. If Qin Xiu kept pushing him into the space tunnel, even if Han Sen could kill him, they would die together. "Remember the promise you made to me," Qin Xiu said as he stroked Wanner's hair and kissed her cheek. "You will take care of Wanner. No matter what, ensure she lives happily." With that kiss, the red light of Qin Xiu's body entered Wanner. The red light enshrouded Wanner and kept her inside it. Outside of her body, a red layer stopped the reverse tunnel's power from destroying her. Because of the great loss of power, Qin Xiu's body grew dim. He appeared and disappeared. His body's holy light was dissolved by the reverse tunnel. His was becoming dimmer. He placed his hands forward and put Wanner in front of Han. Senator Han Sen collected Wanner. Qin Xiu smiled at him, but that smile only made people feel sad. Go back. Go back to your world. Take Wanner and live. Perhaps that would be best for her. What has been missed is missed. I cannot try to reclaim it. I, Qin Xiu, cannot go against the sky. After that, Qin Xiu's body possessed a red light. His whole body burned with fire. He turned into a red power. He wrapped up Han Sen and Wanner and pushed back toward the reverse tunnel's entrance. As they got close to the reverse tunnel's entrance, Qin Xiu's red fire grew weaker. He used all of his life to become as powerful as possible. When the red fire was extinguished, it would be the official end of Qin Xiu's life. Seeing the entrance of the reverse tunnel, Qin Xiu's red light was already gone. Han Sen used his own power to get out of there. When Han Sen was ready to go out, the Sea of Souls suddenly emitted the sounds of something crying. The very dead crystal armor automatically ran out of the Sea of Souls and wrapped up Han Sen's body. What shocked Han Sen more was that when the black crystal armor was around his body, it went against things. It pulled his body deeper into the reverse tunnel. "What are you doing?" Han Sen kept using his power like mad. He wanted to change his course and leave the reverse tunnel, but it was not working. The black crystal kept pulling him down deeper. No one answered him. The black crystal armor was silent. It just kept forcing Han Sen to sink deeper. The reverse tunnel's armor was unable to break the black crystal armor. Inside the reverse tunnel, a weird power surging through the black crystal armor. It kept going into Han Sen's body. It made his body exhibit weird changes. Han Sen was not sure if the changes were good or bad. With his power, he was not able to stop that power from changing his body. Wanner had the power Qin Xiu gave her for protection. She did not have changes like that. The reverse tunnel was like a bottomless abyss. While Han Sun and Wanner were sinking, everything seemed to empty. It was like their bodies were consumed by emptiness. The first year of the universe's dollar calendar. In this year, human Alpha Dollar beat the world's attempted destroyer and saved the Geno universe and its countless denizens. To remember Dollar, who died with the destroyer, that year was named Dollar Year 1. The new calendar of the universe was started. Humans and spirits were now members of the Geno universe. Countless human elites and spirit elites were from Space Garden and Sacred. It enabled humans and spirits to become important figures in the universe. Wang Yuhang went into the laboratory and asked Xie Qing King, "Brother King, how is your research going? Is there a way for us to access the anti-material world?" "No, the power of the anti-material world is too weird," Xie Qing King said. "We tried to go through the anti-material world via Mirror Lake, but no substance was able to endure the anti-material world's power." Qin Xian arrived holding a record. "For the past 2 years, we have tried every way we can to open the anti-material tunnel. Nothing we have tried has succeeded. The tests fail and fail. We have to find another way. The Geno Hall's God must know how to access the anti-material world, but he will not tell us," Wang Yuhang sadly said. "It's fine," Qin Xian said with certainty. "We know that Han Sun is not dead. If he made it through, it must be possible for us to make it through as well. Yes, we must find a way to go," Wang Yuhang said while waving his fists. "We cannot let little Sanmu own the anti-material world alone." Zero came from a tunnel, frowned, and asked, "Have you seen Bauer?" "No, it seems like it has been a while since we last saw her," Xie Qing King said. "Perhaps she took little 6 and little 9 to hunt with her." Wang Yuhang lifted his lips and said, "Don't worry. Nothing will happen to her in Space Garden. If someone seeks to do something bad to her, whoever it is must be really dumb." At the same time, in a mountain in Space Garden that was inhabited by nobody, Bauer was standing atop a weird bronze item. She looked at the bronze item. The bronze item was Hansen's 4-sheep cube. Next to Bauer was a fortune-telling old man who was holding a flag. The words "counting all the destinies" were on the flag. It was just those 4 big words. Bauer blinked. She stared at the fortune-telling old man and asked, "Can this thing really take me to my father?" "Of course. I swear to God and hope to die that I would not lie about this." The fortune-telling old man swore to God. Chapter 30-34 Legendary Gene Egg. Found it. I finally found it. So many people died. We finally found it. In a very dark underground cave, an underground river led to a waterfall. It had a very deep drop. A booming sound echoed to the very bottom of the water. If one looked closer, one would see that the underground river's water was red. Bloody dragons roaring. All in all, there were 9 of them. 8 people wearing rugged clothing stood next to the water. They stared into the water. All of them seemed to be extremely excited. As they stood there, their bodies shivered and shook. "Mr. Yang, what is that thing in the water?" A middle-aged man looked at an elderly fellow with white hair. His vocal cords were trembling as he asked the question. The elder, who was called Mr. Yang, looked around. He looked for a while and said, "This is certainly the place where the blood dragon returned to its nest. It is a place where the pulse is loud and clear. There is no doubting it. There truly must be a top-class gene egg inside there. The only thing I do not know is if it truly is the gene egg King Qin buried, and the one that we are searching for. I have no idea, but you will have to figure that out for yourself, Mr. Meng. I have faith. This has to be the right place. This must be where King Qin buried the gene egg. The gene egg must be in the water. Hurry up, go in there and pick up the gene egg." Mr. Meng saw the red light under the waterfall's red basin, so hurried the others to go take a dunk and see precisely what it was. The people were a bit scared. With Mr. Meng's authority, they had no choice but to jump into the blood pool. They swam to the red light below the surface of the basin. Only Mr. Meng and Mr. Yang stood away and watched the pool. Not long later, the 6 people emerged from the water. Together, they exited the pool and brought forth the fabled item they had been in search of. It was a giant egg that was 3 feet big. When the egg-shaped item was brought out of the basin, The water's light disappeared. Only the egg remained glowing with a red light. The giant egg was like a bloody jade. It looked good. Seeing the weirdly pretty, big egg, everyone looked at it with greedy obsession. Mr. Meng was so excited that he started talking nonsense. This must be right. This is the gene egg. King Qin was born with bad blood. He was bullied when he was young. His sister Wanner had very special blood that provided immeasurable talent. To help her brother, Wanner gave King Qin her own blood. Then they created the Qin kingdom. But Wanner lost her blood and became rubbish that could not practice. She got ill and died. If Wanner had not lost her blood, she would have never become sick. King Qin blamed himself for that. He was miserable. It drove him absolutely crazy. He tried everything to make Wanner come back to life. Everyone knew the Qin kingdom was searching for immortality, but people never knew that it was not for himself. He did this for his dead sister Wanner. King Qin found this legendary, top-class gene egg. He was hoping the gene power could make Wanner come back to life. But their people could not come back to life. Wanner was unable to be brought back to life. Without Wanner, the entire world seemed to be pointless to King Qin. He threw away the gene egg. My ancestors were royal guards for King Qin. They knew that King Qin wanted to revive Wanner here in this ancient, big god mountain. He knew that King Qin did not take the gene egg and never return to this place again. Our ancestors did not really know where it was exactly though. After all, many generations have passed, and all those people died. I have finally found this gene egg. With this gene egg, the Meng family will become very famous. After finishing talking, Mr. Meng laughed. Arg! Before Mr. Meng could put an end to his cackling, someone in the team screamed horribly. Soon after, it was not just a single person letting out cries. Each of the 6 people that had collected the gene egg from the bloody basin was on the ground screaming and rolling in tremendous agony. Mr. Meng and Mr. Yang were in shock by what was happening. People were writhing across the ground. Their bodies were rolling really quickly. They kept going on and on until they melted into blood water. Mr. Save us. A few people reached out their hands. They were feeling extreme pain. They wanted to ask Mr. Meng for help. Before they finished, they died. Their bones started to rot and become liquid. Within the blink of an eye, the 6 of them had turned into 6 puddles of blood water. There was not a single tuft of hair spared from the dissolution of their bodies. Mr. Meng and Mr. Yang were shocked by this. They tested the river water and did not discover anything weird. For this to happen so suddenly, it really was quite weird. Mr. Meng was glad he had not touched the water in the pool. Mr. Yang, please help me take the gene egg back, Mr. Meng said to Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang's face froze. He had a wry smile. Mr. Meng, I am just a mister. I did not practice. Mr. Meng's eyes glistened as he said, Do not worry, Mr. Yang. They died because they touched the blood water. The gene egg by itself is fine. You do not need to worry. Mr. Yang thought. If it is fine, then why don't you carry it yourself? Although he thought that, Mr. Yang could not refuse. Under Mr. Meng's watch, he had no choice but to carefully walk toward the big red jade-like egg. Although the big egg was clean and had no blood water on it, Mr. Yang did not attempt to touch it. He took off his clothes and wrapped them around the big egg. He tied a knot and picked it up. He was going to carry the big egg. When Mr. Yang exerted strength, a catch noise was heard. The jade-like big egg cracked. The crack was spreading across the egg's shell. Mr. Yang and Mr. Meng were shocked. After a second, Mr. Meng was excited. God help the Meng family. I never expected the gene egg to hatch now. I wonder what creature this legendary gene egg holds inside it. Mr. Yang looked at the cracked gene egg and said, King Qin was the king of the Qin kingdom. It was so long ago. Everything about him was just a legend. If the legends are true, this gene egg can hatch us a very rare gene race. While they were talking, there was another catch noise. The big egg's crack was spreading. The red jade-like eggshell fell onto the floor in pieces. Mr. Yang and Mr. Meng looked at the broken eggshell with their eyes wide open. They were immediately frozen. A man who looked about 20 years old was inside the eggshell. He had black hair and crystal skin. He was curled up as if he had been sleeping. Humanoid. Gene race. Mr. Meng was so excited that his voice trembled. Chapter 30-35, A Punch One Punch. Hansen felt as if he had just enjoyed a nice sleep. He felt so good that he almost groaned. He opened his eyes. What he saw in front of him gave him a shock. He wasn't able to figure out what had happened to him in the space of a second. Hansen only remembered the black crystal armor, dragging him into a reverse tunnel. He had kept falling and falling until he lost consciousness. Hansen thought he was done for. It seemed as if the black crystal armor was content to kill him, but that wasn't what happened. It was like he had just slept. When he woke up, Hansen noticed he was naked and curled up in the remnants of a broken eggshell. Wanner was missing, and a middle-aged man was standing in front of him. He was staring at his body with a greedy look in his eyes. Hansen's head was flashing with a few words, horny, gay, and glasses. Hansen looked at the middle-aged man with his wriggling fingers who was approaching him in a rush. He was mumbling, "You are mine. You are mine. Go to hell, you pervert." Hansen thought but did not say anything. He swung a punch toward the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man saw Hansen wave a punch. He did not notice his face looked even more excited as he said, "Humanoid gene race. A very rare humanoid gene race. I wonder what element it is." The legends claim King Qin's gene egg was a time and space element. If this is a time and space humanoid gene race, after growing him he can take a god temple and create his own kingdom. This would be possible. "Be careful, Mr. Meng. Something is wrong here." Mr. Yang, who was nearby, looked weird as he tried to caution the other man. "Do not worry. Do you think I cannot claim a humanoid gene race that was freshly born?" Mr. Meng did not care for Mr. Yang's words of caution. He felt no power from Hansen's punch. He had just been born, so the gene race could not do anything to him. Mr. Meng thought, "No matter what, let's just claim him first. We can then teach him. Humanoid gene race people are very precious. We cannot allow this news to leak. I cannot keep Mr. Yang." He suddenly pushed out some power and reached out his hand to block Hansen's punch. Mr. Meng's body expanded. He had weird features. His head had cow horns, and his body had black hair like steel. His body was becoming very strong. Some very powerful presence emerged from him. When his hand touched Hansen's fist, Mr. Meng's face suddenly changed. He did not have a chance to fight back. Mr. Meng's hand was perforated by the fist. The fist proceeded to strike his chest and blast his body away. He hit a stone wall, exploded, and became a smear of blood across the wall. Mr. Yang's mouth opened wide. He was frozen upon seeing Mr. Meng become a bloodstain. He could not believe it. He knew he had sensed something wrong, but he did not suspect something as awry as this would happen. It did not matter how high the level of a gene race was, it would not be as strong as this upon their birth. Although high-class gene race babies were stronger, they were not strong enough to turn Mr. Meng's body into a smear with one punch. Mr. Meng was an elite who was at a very high level in ancient God City. Even if he had not used a gene race, with his blood's power, he would have been better than most humans. A gene race that was just born would not be so easily killed by one measly punch. Mr. Yang was certain that if he told others this story, no one would believe him. How could he be so weak? Hansen looked at his fists with surprise. Hansen had not meant to murder someone. He thought that the middle-aged man looked quite strong, but he was so weak and could not endure one small punch. In fact, that was a very small punch for Hans Senator. When Hansen punched, he cast a Geno art. He wanted to use the Geno art's power to trap the man, so he could obtain information to figure out what was going on. Who would have known that once he used a Geno art, he would feel some scary pressure land on him. It forced him to suppress his power. He erased the Geno art's power and weakened the punch considerably. It was like punching water. The resistance was very extreme. Yet a punch like that still blew up the middle-aged man that looked strong. Hansen was not afraid of murdering people, but he was afraid of murdering good people. Thus he wanted to ask questions first. Unfortunately, things had already ended up this way. He felt kind of bad. He looked at Mr. Yang who was nearby. Mr. Yang was feeling the willies. Earlier, Hansen had killed Mr. Meng with a punch. The scary scene had his guts in turmoil. Now Han Sun was calmly looking at him. It was scarier than being looked at by a demon king. Mr. Yang's legs went soft. He laid on the floor. His pants were wet. Han Sun frowned. He wanted to cast the Dongxian Sutra to look at the man. Right when he cast his Dongxian Sutra, he felt the scary pressure that suppressed the sky and ground land on him. He could hardly stand it. It was like a mountain crushing him. He could not use Geno arts. After Han Sun cancelled the Geno art, the weird suppression that crushed the sky and ground was gone. Does that mean, have I come to another world? Han Sun was no stranger to that feeling. When he used blue blood power, his body was destroyed by the rules of the universe. But it was never that strong. Han Sun tried it a few more times and discovered that his guess was right. This world's power was repelling him, but not repelling him entirely. If he did not use a Geno art or use a power that was too much, the world would not repel his body. He felt nothing when he was not doing anything. Now I understand. This should be the world Qin Shui was born in. My body has some of Qin Shui's genes, so I am not being repelled. In this world, the Geno arts of the universe are repelled. My situation is like Qin Shui going to the universe. Han Sun quickly learned what was going on. He had been afraid that the world Qin Shui came from had many powerful creatures, so this discovery made him happy. It did not look like that was the case. At least, the two men in front of him were very weak. They could not stand a chance. If Qin Shui was able to enter the universe, I should be able to get back there. The most important thing is to find out what is going on in this world. Perhaps then I can find something out about Qin Shui. Han Sun looked at Mr. Yang, who was shaking on the ground. If this is the anti-material world, what does it have to do with the other Geno universe? Why did the black crystal want me to be brought here? Why does this place also have god temples? Han Sun just wanted to go to Evil Lotus God Temple and mosey around. He wanted to check out the Evil Lotus God Mr. Yang had described to him, and see if it was the Evil Lotus God he used to know. Mr. Ancient God City opens every 3 months, which are counted by the days. Blood Pulse Open Day is in 2 days. At that time, you can go and have a look with other people. Mr. Yang spoke with a small amount of hesitation. Still, he looked very determined. He went on to lick Han Sun's boots and say, "My house is in Ancient God City. If you are not against the prospect, why don't you come over and stay at my house for 2 days? We can come back the day after tomorrow." "Why not?" Han Sun nodded. Han Sun was not an unreasonable man. He was neither a robber nor a thief. If it was not necessary, he did not want to use force. Waiting 2 days was not a big deal. He did not need to force his way into the God Temple. They reached Mr. Yang's house. Mr. Yang asked Han Sun to sit down in the living room. He brought out tea and said, "Wait for a second, mister. I am going to the yard to clear a place out for you to live." Han Sun looked at Mr. Yang coldly as he said, "Mr. Yang, you know what you are supposed to say and what you are not supposed to say." Mr. Yang felt a chill and seriously replied, "Do not worry, mister. I understand. You are just a mister, a man from out of town." After Mr. Yang left, Han Sun sat in the living room and drank tea. In this world, Han Sun felt that his body was suppressed. Everything else seemed fairly similar to the Geno universe he used to know. Even the tea tasted similar. Han Sun was leaning against the door of the living room. He was drinking tea and looking at the drawings on the wall. Geno races were depicted in the drawings. Han Sun was surprised by the fact that one of the gene races in the drawings looked quite familiar. It looked like Empty Dragon King. Han Sun was looking at the drawing when a female's voice suddenly sounded from beyond the door. "Are you Mr. Yang?" Han Sun looked over to where the voice came from. A woman standing just outside the door. She was clad in green clothing. She looked very pretty. She looked like someone in a drawing. She seemed to be around 20. "Why are you looking for Mr. Yang?" Han Sun casually asked. He also wondered if this was Mr. Yang's house because of the green-clothed woman's ability to enter, and why she did not seem to recognize him. "I did not expect Mr. Yang to be so young. My name is Peaceful. Mr. Chiu advised me to come here. I want him to take me to Ancient Big God Mountain and help me calculate the location of the God Pulse." The woman explained why she was there. She did not beat around the bush. Han Sen had heard about this from Mr. Yang. The Mr. was just a job title. It was not his name. Mr. Yang must have been hired by Mr. Meng to find the location of the God Pulse. All the gene eggs were born inside the God Pulses. God Pulses were hard to find. God Pulse gene eggs were hard to find, and Misters were the professionals that researched them. Chapter 30-37 Lotus God Temple. Han Sen wanted to explain he was not Mr. Yang, but Mr. Yang walked in, bowed to Han Sen, and said, "Mister, there is something wrong in the garden. You should go take a look." Han Sen looked at Mr. Yang. He looked natural as he talked to Peaceful. He said, "Lady Peaceful, please wait here. I am coming." Peaceful did not mind and said, "Sure, Mr. Yang." Han Sen followed Mr. Yang into the garden. He suddenly kneeled and said to Han Sen, "Please save me, mister." "What do you mean?" Han Sen guessed Mr. Yang saying this had something to do with Peaceful. Mr. Yang quickly said, "That Peaceful is the child of Dragon Song City's leader. I once heard Mr. Meng say Dragon Song City's leader is just like him. They were both looking for the Gene Egg King Qin left behind. She has looked for me because she has heard the news. She wants me to take them to find the blood dragons returned to Nest Place, but there are no more gene eggs. If I take them there, they will kill us. Please help me and save my life." "If you do not want to go, you can just reject Peaceful," Han Sen said. Mr. Yang shook his head. "Mister, you have no idea. Nobles have the right to kill commoners. My blood is not pure. I did not receive blood from a god spirit. I am just a commoner. I learned some geography to get by. My reputation is low. Nobles like Dragon Song City's leader, although they are not the leader of this place, they would only have to pay a minuscule price for the right to kill me. Ancient God City's leader would not dare argue with Dragon Song City's leader over the sake of a commoner. How can I reject it? I need you to save me. I am willing to be your slave and servant if you save my life." After that, Mr. Yang kowtowed on the floor again. Upon hearing him, Han Sen frowned. The Qin kingdom was quite developed, but the laws were still very primitive. It was far worse than the alliance even. It was just like the universe. The 7 big kingdoms were human kingdoms. This Geno universe was totally controlled by human power. Even Qin Xiu was a pure human. That made Han Sen think about a lot of things. The anti-material world was a world based on humans, and the Geno universe did not have any humans. Until Qin Xiu entered the Geno universe, and had the crystallizers combine with his genes, there were not any there. It was only after that was done did humans start appearing in the Geno sanctuaries. God spirits had a deep history with humans. They wanted to suppress humans. If it was because of Qin Xiu, that made no sense. Many races wanted to kill the gods of the Geno universe, but there were no other races that invoked the ire of the god spirits like humans did. The most important thing was that in the legends, Qin Wanner was dead. Qin Xiu used all kinds of ways to bring her back to life. Yet she was alive in the Geno universe. Therefore, it made little sense. The weird thing was that Han Yufei told Han Sen that Qin Wanner was a member of the witch race. She was not of the same race as Qin Xiu. That was making even less sense. There had to be an important crux to this issue that currently eluded Han Senator. Although Han Sen did have a few guesses, he could not figure things out just yet. He did not know if he was right or wrong. How am I supposed to save you? Han Sen thought that if he wanted to learn more about the world in a short time, having a local follow him would be much better. If things were not too hard, he did not mind helping him. Mr. Yang awkwardly said, "I moved from the other city. Not many people saw me. I don't think Peaceful and Dragon Song City's leader know what I look like. If you want to save me, just use my identity to reject them. If you do this, you will undoubtedly find yourself in hot water with them. You are smart. You can make me your scapegoat. But then what? Will you leave and hide?" Han Sen lifted his lips as he spoke. "Of course not. I know you have god powers," Mr. Meng said in fear. "You were able to kill Mr. Meng with one hit. The Dragon Song City's leader is a bit stronger than Mr. Meng, but he is not very strong. He cannot do anything to harm you. If you are willing to have me, I am willing to be your servant. I will forever follow you around. He was a very smart person. He sensed that Hansen was not a murderer, which was why he was saying all of this. I understand, Hansen coldly said. In that case, go and reject Peaceful. If she forces you, I will help you out. Thank you, Mr. Mr. Young was very happy. He bowed to express his gratitude. After arriving back in the living room, Mr. Young bowed and shared his identity. Are you Mr. Young? Peaceful nodded and looked at Han Senator. She did not say anything. She coldly said, Mr. Young, I am paying you a high price to go to ancient Big God Mountain and find the God Pulse. If that is fine, please come with me. Mr. Young looked at Han Sun and answered, I am sorry, Lady Peaceful. My master has to work. I cannot leave ancient God City. Who is your master? Peaceful asked. She looked at Han Sun and checked him out. She frowned. This is my master. Just as Peaceful had guessed, Mr. Young moved to introduce Han Senator. Peaceful looked at Han Sun and asked, Can I borrow Mr. Young for a bit? She could not find a powerful, noble blood pulse in Han Sun, which was why she thought Han Sun might have been Mr. Young. Now Mr. Young was saying Han Sun was his master. That meant he had to be a noble. The identity of a Mr. was not as high as a noble, but it was stronger than a commoner. To be able to make Mr. Young find a master, he must have been a noble. Peaceful could not detect a noble presence within Han Senator. There were only two possibilities. One was that Hansen was not a noble. The second was that Hansen's blood pulse was greater than hers. He had hidden his powers, which was why she could not sense anything. I am not sending him out, Hansen coldly said. If there is nothing else you want, you can get out of here. Peaceful knew Hansen's attitude was not normal. He seemed very laid back, but he was also very intimidating. She thought Hansen must have been a high-class noble. Therefore, she did not dare say anything more. Hansen thought there might be trouble, but Peaceful did not say anything else. She just asked his name and readied herself to leave. You must not be cocky, Mr. Young cautiously said. Peaceful just does not know who you are, so she left. She will come back. Hansen squinted his eyes and casually said, That is fine. Just as Mr. Young thought, after Peaceful returned home, she started to investigate Han Senator. After she sent people from ancient God City to investigate, there was nothing that could be learned about Han Senator. Peaceful thought that was very weird. Hansen stayed in Mr. Yang's house for 2 days, until it was Blood Pulse Open Day. Hansen followed Mr. Yang to Evil Lotus God Temple. The doors to Evil Lotus God Temple were now open. Hansen saw a god statue far away in the God Temple's God altar. It was the face of Evil Lotus God. Chapter 30-38 God Spirit Blood Pulse. It really is Evil Lotus God's God Temple. Why does this world have the Evil Lotus God's God Temple? What is the difference between the God Temples and their existence in both worlds? Hansen thought. Mr. Young had told him that each city in the universe's kingdoms had a God Temple, and the God Temples had existed first. The human cities were built around the God Temples. The God Temples of this world had incredible powers. They protected the human cities and gave humans impressive blood pulse powers. While Hansen pondered things, he saw a commoner queuing ahead of him. Under the gaze of the soldiers, he was allowed entry into the temple. When he was in front of the Evil Lotus God's God statue, he kneeled on the floor and prayed to the God Spirit. He looked very sincere while doing it. That commoner was just a teenage boy. He prayed and got up. He went in front of the statue, picked up a dagger from the table, and nicked his finger with the blade. He placed a drop of his blood before a purple stone stove. He nervously watched the purple stone stove. After a while, the stone stove had no changes. The young man was very hopeful at first. Over time, that hope was depleted. His body shivered and shook. His legs went so soft that he almost collapsed onto the floor. Impossible. No way, I don't have God's spirit blood. This must be a mistake. This must be a mistake. The young man sounded crazed. He then brought the dagger up and cut his hand multiple times. He left every drop of blood fall upon the stove. The blood went everywhere. The purple stone stove still displayed no reaction to the claret. The young man's brain did not seem to be clear. He cut his wrist and severed all the veins and arteries he could. It made the blood in his body erupt across the stove like a spring. I will have God's spirit blood pulse. I must have. The young man's eyes turned red. His face was full of fear. He stared at the stone stove. The stove appeared to be a dead object. In the end, the young man bled dry and fell to the ground. He showed no more motion. The stove was just a stove. The young man could not hold it any longer. He fell to the ground. He dropped into a coma due to the blood loss. All the while, his blood continued to gush. Everyone had seen this happen, but no one seemed surprised. They were all numb to events like this. They cared little for the young man. The young man, who was in a coma, was taken away from the god temple by the soldiers. They were as carefree as if they were moving a dead dog. They threw him in the corner on the floor. No one seemed to whether or he was dead or alive. The second person to enter the temple was a lady wearing many layers of clothing. She seemed afraid. Her body shook as she entered the god temple, and her head was like a nomadic traveler glancing all around. She was different from the young man. A few family members supporting her entry were outside. They were outside the god temple waving at her. After a while, she mustered the courage to approach the altar. She was just like the young man in that she kneeled before the evil lotus god's god statue. She took out a needle, bit her finger and poked it. She let a drop of blood fall upon the purple stove. After the lady let a drop of blood fall, it did not take long for the purple stone stove to glow with god light. The purple light arose from the stone stove. It was like a purple mist. It generated some purple lotus flower lights atop the stone stove. The lady saw the purple flower lotus light shadow and was happy. She cried. Her parents and family members outside were delighted too. They kneeled and expressed major thanks to evil lotus god. The purple flower light left the stone stove and landed on the lady's forehead. It went in like spring water. A purple flower light symbol was on her forehead. It quickly disappeared. Congratulations. You have evil lotus god's blood pulse. A very cold-looking soldier suddenly smiled. He politely sent the lady out. Unlike what had happened with the young man, Mr. Yang, the lady received the evil lotus blood pulse. Hansen asked Mr. Yang, "What is the level of ancient god city?" Mr. Yang replied, "God temples have destroyed class, disaster class, annihilation class, and reboot class. There are 4 levels. The higher level the god temple is, the stronger the god spirit blood pulse they impart. Evil lotus god is a destroyed class god spirit. The god spirit scene is the lowest level. Evil lotus god shadow is a low-level god spirit blood pulse. Only by doing this can a person go on the path of the gene egg. They earn possibilities and chances. You need that to be regarded as a noble." After that, Mr. Yang sighed and said, "This does not seem to be difficult, but most humans cannot go through this stage. It is like heaven and hell." Hansen nodded, but he looked at the lady. Although she had the evil lotus god's god spirit blood pulse, her body did not exhibit any changes. Her power did not increase. The god spirit blood pulse was like being given a key. It had nothing to do with human strength. The gene eggs and gene races determined a human strength. Hansen saw an old man with gray hair walk into the temple. He was curious and asked, "Why are there old men that are now only taking the blood pulse open test?" Mr. Yang had a strange look as he said, "All of the god temples have different god powers. The people selected might be different in each. If someone did not get the approval of a god spirit in evil lotus god's god temple, they can go to another god temple and try again. The chance is still slim. Most god spirits have similar requirements. There is not much difference between them." Hansen watched for a while. Aside from the lady earlier, a few other humans had entered. None of them earned the god spirit blood pulse. Back then, Qin Xiu did not seem to earn a god spirit blood pulse. Wanner gave him the god spirit blood pulse. In this world, it seems that you cannot practice without a god spirit blood pulse. This sounds like a very sad thing. Hansen had been watching. He did not understand what the connection between god spirit blood pulse and human practicing was. Mr. Yang saw Hansen start to queue. He asked with much shock, "Mister, what are you doing?" "This is a rare chance," Hansen said with a laugh. "I would like to give it a go." "You, Mr. Yang wished to say something more, but he immediately pulled his words back. After queuing for a while, there was an exciting noise. A man was so happy that he screamed. His blood revealed 2 purple lotus flowers on the stove. I want to see evil lotus god's god power, and see what sort of reaction it has to my blood, Hansen thought. In the plaza, Peaceful was watching all of this. She saw Hansen queue and appeared surprised. She laughed and said, I had no idea how to investigate him, but he has gone to the god temple to test. That just helped me. Chapter 30-39. Not praying to a god spirit. The chance for humans to gain a god spirit's blessing of blood pulse was not as low as Hansen thought. There seemed to be a 1 in 5 success rate. Most humans only received a single purple lotus. 2 purple lotuses were far rare to receive, but one special young man was able to obtain 4 purple lotuses at once. It was almost Hansen's turn. Mr. Yang couldn't help but ask, Mister, are you really going for the test? Hansen looked at him and asked, Is there a problem? Mr. Yang looked to his left and right. He got closer to Hansen and whispered at a volume only the 2 of them could hear. Mister, the god spirits only give humans a god spirit blood pulse. Hansen understood what Mr. Yang was trying to say. Mr. Yang thought Hansen was a gene race. That was why he was worried. If a gene race puts their blood onto a stove, what would happen? Hansen asked with a smile. I don't suppose anything special would happen, Mr. Yang said after thinking for a moment. In that case it should be fine. Hansen said to comfort him. Nothing will happen. At the very most, if there are no adverse effects, there is no need for you to worry. Mr. Yang thought that made sense. Although he still felt a little nervous, especially given how weird of a history Hansen had, if something happened, it would not play out well for him. They queued for a while longer. It was finally Hansen's turn. Hansen waltzed right into the god temple, while Mr. Yang's heart pumped like mad. Peaceful was watching from afar. She paid close attention. She was eager to see the results of Hansen's test. After Hansen entered the god temple, he walked straight up to the stove. He wanted to prick some blood and drop it onto the stove for a go. The 2 soldiers hurried over to him and stopped him. Are you not going to kneel before the god spirit? When Hansen heard them, he frowned. He had killed Evil Lotus God before. Now they were asking him to kneel before Evil Lotus God's statue. There was no chance of him doing that. Hurry up and kneel, the soldier impatiently said. Hansen thought about it, but he ultimately decided to turn around. It was only for fun. Doing the test or not did not matter to him. Having him kneel in front of Evil Lotus God was something he preferred not to do. Seeing Hansen turn around, the soldiers that guarded Evil Lotus God Temple were surprised. They did not know what to do. When Hansen was almost out of the God Temple, a man showed up in front of him and stopped him on his way. Are you leaving so simply? I remember I have something more important to do, Hansen said. I won't test today, so please excuse me. It is okay if you do not want to do the test, but you entered the God Temple. You must at least kneel. Otherwise, it will be considered as you being blasphemous toward a god spirit. The man did not fall back. His words directed at Hansen were cold. Now the soldiers guarding the god temple reacted. They all came up to surround Han. Senator Mr. Yang quickly ran forward and said, Mr. Sherbois, this is a misunderstanding. My friend came from the mountain. He does not know the rules. If he has offended you, please, for my sake, let him go. He was not afraid of Hansen getting hurt. He was afraid of Sherbois making Hansen angry. It would be bad if Hansen slapped Sherbois into pieces. That would have caused him major trouble. Sherbois was ancient God City's leader's son. If Sherbois was killed, the leader would not sit back and do nothing. Hansen would also make the leader become a smear. If he did that, he would shock the entirety of the Qin Kingdom's people. From what Sherbois saw, no matter how high of a level Hansen was, he was just a gene race. There was no way he could fight against Qin Kingdom's high-class people. He would have to suffer. If he is from the mountains, it makes sense, Sherbois said with a look that suggested he fully understood. He suddenly looked cold and said, I do not care if he is from the mountains. The sentence for committing blasphemy before a god spirit is death. If he kneels now, I can spare his life, but he will still have to suffer. Before Sherbo finished, Hansen interrupted by saying, I am not kneeling today no matter what you try. It is okay if you don't. Sherbo coldly laughed. He pointed his finger at the sky. In the next second, there was a big booming noise. A giant, black-shelled creature landed in front of Sherbo. It shook the plaza 3 times. Hansen looked at the shell creature. It looked like a beetle. The black shell was glowing. The wings were upside down. It looked as if it was ready to munch on someone. If you are willing to become my overbearing bug's food, then you do not have to die for your blasphemous behavior, Sherbo said with a laugh. His face looked very cocky. That is Mr. Sherbo's overbearing bug. I have heard it is a king-class gene race. It has incredible powers in defense. If I had such a powerful gene race, I would be happy and content for the rest of my life. The people in the plaza looked at the overbearing bug with envy. They did not feel sorry for Han Senator from what they had seen. Hansen came from the mountains. Someone from the mountains was being blasphemous to a god spirit, and had even offended a noble like Sherbo. That was practically asking for a death wish. Mr. Yang was frantic, but there was nothing he could do. He could only just feel hurried and worried. Sherbo looked at Hansen very cockily. Are you going to kneel now and let me break your legs? Or do you want to be food for my overbearing bug? I just want to leave, Hansen casually replied. He walked past the overbearing bug, ready to leave the temple. How dare you? Sherbo was angered. This was his first time being in charge of the ceremony. He did not want to kill anyone, but Hansen was being insufferable. He did not care too much, so he commanded his overbearing bug. The overbearing bug squealed. Its mouth was full of sharp teeth. It went straight for Han. Senator Sherbo crossed his arms. He looked at Hansen coldly and prepared to watch him get torn apart by the overbearing bug. Peaceful frowned as she watched. She did not understand what Hansen was trying to achieve. It seemed as if he was asking for trouble. In any kingdom, admiring a god spirit was the most basic ceremonial gesture one could perform. Hansen went to a god temple and did not kneel before the god spirit. He was just asking for trouble, which was why Sherbo was mad. That is fine. I will see what his power is like, peaceful thought. Seeing the overbearing bug about to eat him, Hansen did not summon a gene race. He raised his fist and threw a punch at the overbearing bug's head. Peaceful was frozen. Sherbo looked as if he was watching a fool. He did not use a gene race or god spirit blood. He used pure power to fight a gene race like the overbearing bug. Everyone thought Hansen was either stupid or crazy. When Hansen's fist landed on the overbearing bug's head, everyone's mouths dropped to the ground. Chapter 30-40 Digging Egg. A giant king-class gene race overbearing bug was blown up by Hansen in one punch. The shattered shell was scattered everywhere. It dyed the whole of the god temple red and scared everybody. In the plaza, not even the birds dared to tweet. Everyone's eyes opened wide, and their mouths became circular shapes. They were all petrified as they looked at Hansen, who was inside the god temple. The overbearing bug was a king, which meant it had gone through Duke, Marquis, Earl, Viscount, and Baron gene race levels. It was the highest class gene race. Even if the overbearing bug had not grown up yet, its power was still stronger than most gene races. Yet such a powerful gene race was blown up by a super powerful punch. Suddenly, everyone strangely looked at Han Senator. They looked at him as they were looking at a monster. If they had not seen it for themselves, none of them would have believed this had truly happened. Sherbo looked very weird at first, but then rage consumed him. He felt anger, hatred, and annoyance. He wanted nothing more than to kill Han Senator. Amidst all those emotions, he also felt fear. It was an emotion that came from deep within his heart. Hansen had not used a god spirit blood pulse either. He had used a punch to kill a king-class gene race. He had never seen anything like this happen before. Sherbo never dreamed such a thing was possible before. Seeing Hansen walk forward, Sherbo instinctively retreated. His forehead produced a drop of cold sweat. He fell back and asked, "What do you want?" Hansen looked at him and ignored him. He walked right past him. The people in the plaza parted to form a path for him. They were quick to shuffle away. They were quicker to part than if they had seen agents from the hygiene department. Hansen always dealt with big scenes like this. He didn't really care. Everybody looked at Hansen as if they were seeing a ghost. He just walked away without any more trouble. Mr. Yang gritted his teeth and followed. No one dared to stop them, not even Sherbois or the city's soldiers. The nobles did not say anything negative. This was no joke. There really was a character capable of destroying an overbearing bug with one punch. Who dared put their lives in jeopardy trying to stop him? Looking at the broken bits of shell and flesh from the overbearing bug on the wall, it just made their legs feel soft. Interesting. Without using a gene race, he can blow up a juvenile overbearing bug with one punch. Does that mean he was born with a bloodline? Peaceful was very far away. She looked strange. Aside from a human that had trace amounts of blood pulses when they were born, Peaceful could not think of a reason as to why someone could be this scary and powerful without even using a gene race. Ancient God City has a born blood pulse. This is so weird. I must report this. Seeing Hansen's back disappearing down the street, Peaceful flashed away to depart the plaza. Mr. Yang was feeling pretty joyful. Fortunately, Hansen had not punched Sherbois into dust. That would not have been good. The current situation still wasn't great. The overbearing bug was a rare gene race. There were only a few in ancient God City, and Hansen had killed one. It was not something the city's leader was likely to let be forgotten. He told Hansen about his worries, but Hansen just laughed and said, "That's fine. If they want to come, let them come." Hansen was not afraid of the leader. His body was suppressed by the power of the world. He could not use all of his strength, but he was still far stronger than the leader. Hansen looked at Mr. Yang and asked with genuine curiosity, "By the way, Mr. Yang, where can I get a gene race? How do I use gene races?" Gene races come from hatched gene eggs, and gene eggs usually come from someplace underground, Mr. Yang said. Anyone can have a gene race, but only humans that receive a God Spirit blood pulse can combine with the blood pulse of a gene race. How do I combine blood pulses? Hansen was even more intrigued. Mr. Yang had a wry smile. He shook his head and said, "I do not have a God Spirit blood pulse. I cannot show you. Combining blood pulses is to combine with gene races, so you can use a gene race power. The stronger the God Spirit blood pulse, the more successful the combined gene race will be. There can then be even more for you to combine with. Like evil Lotus God destroyed class God Spirit? If you get his God Spirit blood pulse, you can easily combine with Baron class and Viscount class gene races. If you want to combine with higher level gene races, it would be difficult. The soul power of a high-class gene race is strong. They don't concede so easily. If you have a higher level God Spirit blood pulse, things can be much easier for you." Hansen now understood. He understood the purpose of a God Spirit blood pulse. He thought, the so-called God Spirit blood pulses are actually a mental suppression. If you are good at looking for special areas, then take me with you. I'd like to dig up some gene eggs for you. Hansen wanted to figure out what the world's power was like. More importantly, though, was that he wanted to know if he could use the world's power. Mr. Yang looked strange as he asked, "Mister, can you use a gene race?" He thought Hansen was a gene race. He had never heard of a gene race being combined with another gene race. "We need to give it a go," Hansen coldly said. If he knew the answer, he would not have asked Mr. Yang to help him dig up a gene egg. "Do I need to give it a go?" Mr. Yang complained, but he didn't say anything. He took Hansen to exit ancient God City. Mr. Yang agreed quickly due to being afraid. He was scared of Sherbois bringing elites around to look for Han Senator. Therefore, he thought abandoning the city and hiding in the wild would be the safer course of action. If he did not want to hide for Hansen, he would not have agreed to take Hansen out to dig up gene eggs. Although he was not able to use gene races, he could find where they were hidden. He had a past of digging up many gene eggs. There were no high-class ones, but he had a few low-class ones at home. He could at least give Hansen one or two. The two of them left ancient God City, but Mr. Yang did not take Hansen to ancient Big God Mountain. They went to the other side that had a grass field. The ground's pulse is also called a God pulse. Everything has a God. The God pulse is where everything gathers up together. Only a place like this can compose a gene egg, Mr. Young explained as he continued to walk. What is a god? Hansen asked. Mr. Young was silent a moment before replying. That is hard to explain. Think of it like atmosphere. Think of it as a cloud in the sky. It all flows when the sky and the earth changes. It does not remain without motion. So looking for the ground pulses and digging up gene eggs is a study. You cannot dig randomly. Do you see that small hill? There is a sensation building up in the atmosphere there. There will be a gene egg gathering there, but the atmosphere is weak. The gene egg's level will not be high. Mr. Young pointed at a small hill that was 7 to 24 feet high. Chapter 30:41 Evil Spirit Spring Hansen went before the slope of the mountain. He lifted his fist and prepared to punch the slope. Mr. Young quickly ran ahead to stop him. Mister, don't do that. Before the gene egg hatches, it is very weak. You cannot apply much force to it. If it is broken, the gene inside will be useless. Hansen pulled his fist back. He looked at Mr. Young and asked, How do I dig up the gene egg? Mr. Young felt bad and said, Please wait here for a moment. I am going to dig up the gene egg now. Mr. Young really felt terrible. He was just a mister and had no gene race of his own to use. Even if people hired him to go and find land pulses, they would not make him do such hard work. Now Mr. Young had no choice. He had Hansen as his master. He could not allow Hansen to do the hard work, so he had to do it himself. Mr. Young still felt rather glad. He was glad he did not take Hansen to ancient Big God Mountain. That place had rocks all over. He would have tired himself to death before he made any progress there. This place was only soil and grass. Digging there would be far easier for him. Mr. Young circled the slope a few times. He took out a small shovel and dug up some soil to check it. He used his nose to sniff and tongue to lick. It made Hansen freeze. In the end, Mr. Young settled on an appropriate location. He used his small shovel to continuously dig. He went down slowly. Mr. Young was not very strong, and his shovel was small. After digging for a while, he only managed to dig 2 feet down. His face was pale and he kept gasping. Hansen was laughing as he asked, Old Young, are all the misters this fancy like you? Mr. Young heard what Hansen said. He gasped before replying, Anyone can learn how to look for land pulses. The nobles that can use gene races would have an easier time. Misters like me, who do not have a god spirit blood pulse, must learn this just so we can survive. Should I just dig it up myself? Hansen could see how tired Mr. Young was. He could barely get back up. The man's forehead was sweating, so he could not help but make the offer. Just sit tight, mister. Mr. Young said with a shake of his head. The land pulse here is very weak. It is not buried deep. It should be out very soon. Please just wait for a second. Hansen sensed that Mr. Young insisted on this, so he said nothing more. He just watching him dig with interest. While he was digging, he suddenly heard a sound. It was like a catcha, that almost sounded like glass was broken. Mr. Yang's face changed. It cannot be that the gene egg broke. No way. With what I have predicted, it should have been half a foot away. I cannot have been wrong. While he was thinking, Mr. Young took out his shovel. The moment he pulled his shovel out of the soil, some spring water came bubbling out the crack. The spring water was a bit weird. It was dark purple. The pillar of water ended up gushing out a few feet high. After it descended, it covered the soil Mr. Young had dug up. There was more and more purple water coming out. Mr. Young was shocked. He looked at the spring-like purple liquid. His face changed. He screamed, Evil spirit spring water. How could there be an evil spirit spring? Hansen saw that Mr. Young was frightened. The man's elderly body fell back. He almost tripped and stumbled. He threw away the shovel. Hansen reached out his hand to hold the man's back. After he stabilized him, he asked, What is an evil spirit spring? Did you not say there was a gene egg there? Mr. Yang's face turned pale. Let's just get out of here. We cannot dig here. If we keep digging, we will both end up dead. Tell me why first. It was fine earlier, so why can we not dig any further? Hansen was not in a rush. He still spoke with a smile. Mr. Yang wanted to leave right then and there, but Hansen did not want to. He could not leave without explaining, so he hastily said, "I must have made a mistake. I thought this was just a small land pulse, but this place has an evil spirit spring. If we do not go, a disaster will fall upon us." "What is wrong with evil spirit spring?" Hansen still did not see why they had to leave. He pulled Mr. Yang and peered at the purple spring water that kept spilling out. Mr. Yang's heart was rapidly beating. He wanted to use the shovel and knock Hansen out to drag him away someplace safe. But he was not powerful enough to do that. Hansen had his hands on him, and he could not even run if he wanted to. He hurriedly replied, "Did I not tell you that all creatures have a god? Gene eggs are created by the god of all things." "Yes, I remember," Hansen said with a nod. "Basically, gods are spirits. Everything has a spirit. When those spirits gather together, a gene egg is formed. Everything can be good and bad. So spirits can be good and bad too. If you see some purple air rise in the land pulse, that means there are evil spirits around the land pulse. In an old battleground where many people died, there are often evil spirit pulses." After pausing, Mr. Yang went on to say, "I never heard about this place being the site of an old battleground before. I did not expect there to be an evil spirit air. And the evil spirit already made a spring in this land pulse. That means there is something evil beneath this land pulse. If we do not leave, we will be affected by the evil spirit spring. Something unfortunate might happen to us. We should just run now." After Hansen heard this, he looked at him and asked, "According to what you have told me, if there is an evil spirit spring, does that not mean the land pulse is strong? In that case, isn't there a possibility of us having a higher level gene egg?" "You are correct. But if you get the evil spirit spring on you, you will suffer disaster. The gene egg that hails from this evil land pulse will harbor something wretched. Ordinary god spirit blood pulses would not be able to suppress it. If you are forced to combine with it, it might take over the master. The stronger the gene egg is, the more harm it can do to the master. I would suggest not touching it." Mr. Yang saw that the hole he had dug was full of liquid. He had a morbid expression. He now wanted to leave more than anything else. "I understand. You can head on home, old Yang." Hansen let go of Mr. Yang. He walked over to the spring by himself. Mr. Yang was going to run off, but he saw Hansen approach the evil spirit spring. He quickly shouted, "Mister, what do you want to do? You go back now. I will look for you later." After speaking, Hansen moved to pick up the little shovel Mr. Yang had thrown away. He squatted next to the hole and started digging. "Mister, please don't do it. From what I know, whoever encounters an evil spirit spring and touches but a mere drop, let alone digging, very bad things happen to them." The last leader of ancient god city dug up an evil spirit spring and touched the evil spirit spring water. He turned into a monster with purple eyes that killed everyone. He did not even dig up the gene egg. Mr. Yang tried to convince Han Sr. "You just go back. I will be careful." Hansen did not care for Mr. Yang's concerns, and continued digging with the shovel. He was not afraid of a sky full of god spirits, so he was not going to be afraid of evil spirits. Chapter 3042 God Pulse Weird Scene. Hansen's power was nothing Mr. Yang could compete with. He tried to control his own power, but it was similar to a digging machine. The little shovel was really fast as it dug out a trench. The purple liquid inside the trench was funneled out. It was weird. It was unknown what the purple liquid was. After it was drained, it immediately vaporized not long after it flowed away. Smoke arose around the dig site. It was blown away by the winds that scoured the fields. Mr. Yang did not dare get close, but he really did not dare leave either. He stopped and watched the sight from afar. He just prayed nothing bad happened to Han's senator. It was fine for Hansen to die, but without Hansen's protection, he would be in grave trouble. There was every chance Peaceful was still looking for him. And Sherba's family might not be so forgiving of him either. What kind of crime did I commit in my last life to meet this goddamn thing I'm following around right now? Mr. Yang's heart was wrought with sadness. Hansen dug a trench and drained the water, but the purple spring's liquid was still coming out. It was not slowing down either. He had to jump into the water to start digging. Mr. Yang watched Hansen dive into the spring water. It made his face fill with black lines. His eyes kept twitching as he said, "Death wish. This guy has a death wish." Hansen stood inside the spring water. He felt that the purple spring water was a bit cool. It was like he had been rubbed with alcohol. Still, that thing vaporized faster than alcohol did. Although the purple liquid kept coming out, it did not create a lot of water. Hansen was still inside the hole. It did not even surpass his knees. Hansen saw Mr. Yang had not departed and was instead just watching from afar. He shouted at him, "Old Yang, how deep is the gene egg?" Earlier, Mr. Yang had said the gene egg was very weak before it hatched. He was worried about whether or not he had broken the gene egg. Mr. Yang's eyes twitched. He answered, "From my previous estimation, it should only be half a foot away. If there is an evil spirit spring down there, what I predicted must be wrong. It is hard to calculate its depth. It will not be any further than 9 feet though." When Hansen heard Mr. Yang say that, he plunged his shovel into the spring. It went into the soil. A scary power went with it. He slashed a 9-foot deep trench inside the hole. Hansen was not able to use his Dongxian aura, so he could not scan what was down there. He still had the power to control things and cut a hole in the ground that was 9 feet deep. He should have been able to measure that right. When the big trench was cut out, the evil spirit spring, which was only as thick as a baby's arm, suddenly burst open like a volcano erupting. It was 30 feet high and made Hansen all wet. Roar! Mr. Yang was far away. He watched the spring water explode. He saw a purple light shadow arise. It was blurry, but it looked like a scary big beast. The big beast's light shadow roared and turned into purple air that disappeared into space. It was like the night in the sky was dyed purple. This is God Pulse weird scene. Ancient evil beast. Mr. Yang was so shocked that he fell on his bottom. His eyes opened wide. He started at the space as if he had just seen a ghost. Hansen saw the weird scene flash in front of him. He also heard a beast roar, but he did not care much about that. Earlier, the evil spirit spring water exploded. It was like it exhausted the remainder of the purple water. Now there was no longer any more liquid. It quickly died down and stopped spilling. The purple liquid that spilled out earlier was quickly vaporized. Within a few seconds, there was no more liquid on the floor. There was some purple air surrounding him. It was like it was there, but it was not there. After the sun shined on it, though it was gone. He dug 3 feet and felt like the things he touched with his fingers were different. He felt happy. Maybe I have found it. Hansen quickly used his hands to dig the soil. There was a black metal object visible down below. He thought it was the gene egg. As he kept on digging, he soon found out that it was not the gene egg. What is this thing? Hansen was suspicious about the item he unearthed. Although he did not understand gene eggs, he knew that the thing in front of him was not a gene egg. Whose gene egg would have grown like a big stick? The stuff in front of him was a black metal pillar. The pillar's top was about the size of a bowl. Hansen dug down 3 feet. The rest of it was still in the soil. He did not know how deep it went. The part that was showing looked black. It had some carvings with languages and symbols Hansen did not understand. It looked like an iron pipe with lots of scripture scrawled upon it. Hansen looked at Mr. Yang from far away and said, "Old Yang, come and take a look at what this is. How did I dig up an iron pipe at a land pulse?" Mr. Yang seemed to be really scared. When he heard what Hansen said, his body shook. He got up off the ground and ran over to the trench. He bent down and looked. After taking a look, Mr. Yang's face looked even paler. It looked as if he had lost his soul. He mumbled, "It is over. It is all over. We are in big trouble. It looks like you know what this thing is. Since I've dug it up, why don't you go ahead and tell me what this thing is?" Hansen was getting very interested in the item. Hansen was a very curious person. If he wasn't, he wouldn't have made it to where he was. Mr. Yang looked as if the sky had fallen on him. The more he became curious, the more he wanted to figure out what was going on. It is no wonder. It is no wonder I was not able to tell there was an evil spirit spring here. This place has an item that can suppress pulses. We have just suffered 8 lifetimes of bad luck. If I had known there was a pulse suppression item, I would have never tried to dig up a gene egg here. Mr. Yang was regretful. His belly started to churn. Old Yang, if you keep talking like that, I am going to stick this iron pipe into your body. Hansen looked at Mr. Yang with an unfriendly look. Although he was polite, he did not like people talking like that. He had encountered too many overly scared people. Seeing Hansen's cold eyes, Mr. Yang felt a chill come on. He quickly said, "Please do not mind me, mister. It was me talking a bit excitedly. This iron pipe should be a pulse suppression item. The elites use it to suppress land pulses." "Why do they suppress land pulses?" Seeing Mr. Yang finally start talking, Hansen's expression looked a bit friendlier. Mr. Yang sighed and said, "The land pulse has a very evil gene race. When the elites found it, they did not want the gene race in the land pulse to ever be born. Of course, they did not have the power to destroy it. Therefore, they used an item to suppress the land pulse and ensure no one else would come to make the gene race be born." Chapter 3043 Extreme Evil Beast. Does that mean an extremely powerful gene egg lies buried down below? Hansen was very happy. He used both of his hands to hold the black iron pillar. He wanted to put it down and see what sort of gene egg it was suppressing. Hansen was a character that had conquered the world. He did not really care about finding ordinary gene eggs. With such an interesting gene egg available, he wasn't keen to miss out. Regarding whether or not it was aggressive, Hansen did not care. Mr. Yang looked at it with shock. He almost scared his own soul away. He waved his hands and shouted, "Don't do it, mister. If that gene race is born, it will be a disaster for everybody here." Before Mr. Yang could finish speaking, the iron pipe-looking suppress pulse item was pulled out 1 whole foot by Hansen. The iron pipe looked heavy. Under Hansen's strength, it was nothing. Hansen used both hands to pull out the iron pipe, 1 foot after another. He did it in the blink of an eye. He easily removed the 24-foot-long black metal pillar from the earth. Boom, boom. When the metal pillar was pulled out of the ground, the entire zone seemed to quake a little. Even ancient God City shook. It made the people think an earthquake had struck. After the initial shake, there was no more movement. It made people wonder and scratch their heads. Good grief. Good grief. Mr. Yang was paralyzed on the ground. He looked at Hansen down below. His mouth was shaped like a duck's beak. He was in so much shock that he forgot to run. Hansen was too lazy to show him any attention. He got close to the metal pillar and looked down into the cave. He saw a purple light flicker in the darkness down below. It was like an orb that was glowing in the dark. The cave was very small, so only a portion of it was visible. One would not have guessed that it was a part of the gene egg. There really is a gene egg. Hansen was delighted. After he confirmed the gene egg's location, he was no longer worried. He just slid his hand down. There was a loud catcha sound. The soil was slashed open by Hansen. It suddenly created a big crack. Everything down below was now clearly visible. Hansen was staring at it. He saw the soil possess a 3-foot big purple skin jade egg. Under the sunlight, it glowed with a weird purple. The egg had many patterns across it. They all looked like symbols. "Mr. Yang, how can I hatch this gene egg?" Hansen landed next to the gene egg. He reached out his hand and touched the purple-looking egg's shell. Hansen was most surprised by the fact that he could detect the presence of a heartbeat by merely touching the shell of the egg. Mr. Yang sighed and said, "If you have a God Spirit blood pulse, you just need to touch it. That way, it will respond to your heart. If it is willing to obey you, it will give you the message. But you, mister." Before Mr. Yang could finish his sentence, Hansen knew what he was going to say. "Without a God Spirit blood pulse, I cannot take the gene race." Hansen did not have a God Spirit blood pulse, therefore, he could not communicate with it. That is correct. If there was a simpler way, no one would treat the God Spirit blood pulse necessity with such importance. After pausing, Mr. Yang tried to convince Hansen by saying, "Mister, if you cannot use it, just put the suppress pulse item back." Hansen was silent a moment before saying, "That is not right. I thought you said anybody could grow a gene race." "Of course you can grow a gene race, but you cannot combine with it. You can only use it as a pet, and you cannot just have one randomly. If you meet a gene race that is very nice and tame, you can tame it. If you meet some evil gene race and cannot keep it, you must run away from it. This gene egg must be the evilest of all time. If it ever hatches." Before Mr. Young could finish speaking, there was a catch-a noise. The shell of the gene egg broke from its top. The cracks webbed down quickly. It made Mr. Young so shocked that his mouth froze. Hansen looked at the breaking gene egg with interest. More cracks were showing up. Most of it broke in a short while. A fluffy head soon appeared from the hole. Hansen looked a bit closer. He was surprised. Inside that big, giant, purple egg, the gene race that emerged from it was only the size of a fist. Its body was circular. It looked like a hairy ball. Its hair glowed red, and its tail was curled up. Its ears were sharp. The eyes had just opened, and they appeared to be red. It was obviously a cat. It was not because of its size that Hansen was shocked. It was because the little cat looked rather strange. No matter how he looked at it, it looked like the asshole old cat. This little cat was much smaller than old cat. It looked cute. It did not look as bad as old cat. The two of them had many other aspects that looked familiar. For example, ordinary cats did not usually have such big tails. Its tail was like a fox's tail. Its ears were sharper and longer than the average cat. It looked like a fox. Even so, that little cat had something different from an ordinary cat. It looked similar to old cat though. It looked like a cat but was not a cat and looked like a fox but was not a fox. Meow. The little cat emerged from the egg. It rushed over to Hansen and meowed. It was all shaky next to Hansen's feet. It used its claws to climb into Hansen's pants. It seemed to have great difficulty doing so. Hansen reached out his hand to pick the cat up by its neck. He put it in front of him. He checked out that newly born gene race little cat. Admittedly, it looked rather cute, but it looked like old cat. Hansen held the little cat. It looked nice. Its circular face looked very innocent. It put out its pink tongue and meowed at him. Hansen looked at the little cat and thought, "This should be impossible. Old cat is dead. Even if he was alive, he could not reverse his age and return to his gene egg." He looked at Mr. Young and asked, "Old Young, is this the murderous gene race you were talking about?" Hansen picked up the little cat and jumped out of the hole. Mr. Young was frozen as he looked at the little cat Hansen was holding in his hands. He did not say a word. After a while, Mr. Young slowly said, "The evilness of a gene race cannot be judged solely through their appearance. Perhaps it is too small and has not yet developed. Anyway, to be suppressed by a suppress pulse item, combined with the god pulse and the ancient evil beast that appeared, it must be a generational evil beast. What is a god pulse weird scene and an ancient evil beast?" Hansen had heard Mr. Young talk about it before. Now that he had mentioned it again, he figured he might as well ask him. Mr. Young replied, "Normal people know gene races as kings, dukes, marquises, earls, viscounts, and barons. There are 6 levels. They do not know there is a higher gene race. When that gene race is born, there will be a god pulse weird scene and an ancient evil beast. It is a sign of the god pulse weird scene. The legends say it is a sign of an extremely evil xenogeniac coming into existence." Chapter 3044 Make You Be My Servant. It sounds very powerful. Is it just a gene race? Hansen put the little cat next to him and looked at it. Aside from the fact that it looked like old cat, there was nothing inherently special about it. Hansen picked up the little cat. Its body was facing down. It stared at Hansen with big innocent eyes. It looked like some innocent little thing that did not know anything about that. "Ordinarily, gene races with a god pulse weird scene are quite strong," Mr. Young said with hesitation. "Now it is too small. It will probably take a while to develop." Although the gene race might have been an evil beast, its appearance completely went against what one would suspect an evil beast was like. They were a mismatch. Even Mr. Young was starting to doubt himself. Usually, There was red dust everywhere and disasters all the time. Those were the signs of an evil beast being born. That did not appear to be the case. Hansen looked at the little cat as he asked, "How do I make it grow up? Do I feed it cat food?" "A gene race needs to eat other gene eggs or other gene races to evolve," Mr. Young confidently replied. "Normal food cannot be used to develop it. That will be troublesome. Where can I find many gene races to feed it?" Hansen was a bit troubled. Digging up gene eggs was very annoying, especially to get a lot of gene races. Hansen did not think whichever path he had to take would be easy. It is very small now. Low-level gene eggs and gene races are enough to feed it. You should be able to get it to evolve once. When it grows bigger, ordinary gene eggs and gene races may not be digested by it. It will need higher-level gene races each time to keep evolving. After pausing, Mr. Young asked, "Mister, are you really going to raise him? It is an evil beast, and you cannot make a contract with spirits. If you only tame it, betrayal will be very easy." "It is fine. I will just have one to play with." Hansen held the little cat. He looked at it and asked, "Why don't I call you Small Cat?" Hansen was very bad at naming things. It looked as if it was from the same race as Old Cat, so there was no harm in naming it Small Cat. This way, Old Cat could still be called Old Cat. That saved a lot of trouble. Meow. The little cat seemed to understand. It nicely meowed to Hansen, as if it was happy for the name it had been bestowed. "Old Yang, please find me a few more god pulses. We will dig up some more gene eggs." Hansen seemed to understand that he could not combine with gene eggs. He was not interested in gene eggs anymore. He only wanted the gene eggs to feed Small Cat. "Okay." Mr. Young had no choice but to nod. He looked at the cat with conflicted emotions and said, "In recent years, I do not know why, but the number of land pulses has increased. There are a lot more gene eggs up for grabs. Before, it was quite rare for a land pulse to yield 2 gene eggs. Recently, we have been able to find 3 or 4 gene eggs in a land pulse reliably. It should not be difficult for us to track down some low-level gene eggs for you. If this was the past, it would be very difficult." Hansen looked at the 24-foot-long metal pillar and walked next to it. He lifted it onto his shoulder. It was like he was carrying some wood. "This thing should be worth something," Hansen remarked. "Maybe I can trade it in for some gene eggs." Mr. Young looked at him strangely. He said, "A suppress pulse item is worth a lot, but its owner is likely someone very famous and powerful. If the owner finds you hawking it, it might lead to another point of concern on your growing list of troubles." Hansen did not care for what he worried about. He continued to hold the pillar. He stood behind Mr. Yang. The two of them trekked on in search of land pulses. They were eager to find more gene eggs. Just like Mr. Yang said, the land pulses were not hard to find. After a 10-mile walk, they reached another land pulse. This time, there were no sinister incidents. The two of them were soon able to dig up a fist-sized white egg out of the earth. Mr. Young had a look. He said that it was a Baron-class gene race toxic snake egg. It was a fairly common gene race. In ancient God City, many people used this gene race. If it was nothing special, so Hansen did not care for it. He gave the toxic snake egg to Small Cat. He placed it before its mouth. Small Cat was excited. It reached its tongue out to lick the sides of the egg. It kept licking and meowing, showing how much he loved it. Small Cat's head was not big, but its stomach was large. It managed to eat the fist-sized snake egg in one gobble. Its belly did not even look plumper after the meal. In fact, it looked as if the kitten wanted more. Hansen had to have Mr. Yang take him further in pursuit of more gene eggs. The two of them did not have to walk for very long when they heard the sound of horse hooves approach from behind. He turned around and saw a giant, overbearing bug coming right at them. Mr. Yang was shocked. He was so scared that he yelled, "Has Sherbois sent out others in pursuit of revenge?" "It's not Sherbois. It's peaceful and someone younger than her." Hansen's eyes were powerful. The people were far away, but he was able to see who was on the back of the overbearing bug. Of course, when the overbearing bug drew near, Mr. Yang saw Peaceful. Next to Peaceful was a pretty man clad in white garments. The overbearing bug was less than 15 feet away from Hansen when it came to a halt. The white-clothed man looked about 13 to 14 years old. He looked at Han-sun with interest. Peaceful, is he the guy who used his bare hands to kill an overbearing bug? Yes, Mr. White, Peaceful politely answered. Mr. Yang was shocked. Peaceful was the granddaughter of Dragon Song City's leader. Her identity was prestigious. Seeing her now, it seemed as if even she was being super respectful to the man. It suggested that he was of even greater nobility. Did you really use your bare hands to kill an overbearing bug? The white-clothed man asked as he jumped off of the overbearing bug's back. He walked over to Han Sr. Yes, I did. Han-sun nodded and did not deny it. In that case, can you kill this overbearing bug? The white-clothed man asked, as he pointed to the mount they had ridden in on. Although the overbearing bug had just become an adult, it was stronger than the one Sherbwa had. Its head was twice as big. You and I have no conflict, Han-sun said. Why would I kill your overbearing bug? This is not my overbearing bug. It is hers. I want to see if you can really kill an overbearing bug with your bare hands. The white-clothed young man pointed at Peaceful as he spoke. Peaceful did not look so good, but she did not say anything. Clearly, she was afraid of that white-clothed man. Why would I want to show you? What is the point in killing your overbearing bug? Han-sun frowned. The young man gave him a weird feeling upon hearing Han-sun. The white-clothed young man looked as if he was deep in thought. He said, If you can really kill an overbearing bug with your bare hands, I will make you my servant. The white-clothed man said this as if it was perfectly normal. It was like Han-sun would have been lucky to become his servant. Upon hearing this, Mr. Yang thought things were going to turn foul. He knew what sort of person Han-sun was. There was no way he would accept this. Chapter 30:45 The landlord's stupid son. Who would have suspected that Han-sun's reaction would end up surprising Mr. Yang? He was not angry. He actually laughed. Han-sun pointed at the overbearing bug and asked, I don't need to be your servant, but if I kill it, can I have its body? After that, he looked at Mr. Yang and asked, Old Yang, can that gene race be food for small cat? I suppose it could be. Mr. Yang's expression looked weird. Using a king-class gene race to feed a newborn gene race seemed excessive. While it was possible, it might end up just being a waste. Of course you can. The white-clothed young man hastily nodded. Peaceful looked awfully glum. She wished to protest, but all she could really do was mumble under her breath and not say anything audibly. The white-clothed young man looked at Peaceful and rushed her to get started. Peaceful, hurry up and get your overbearing bug to attack him. I want to see if he can really kill the overbearing bug with his bare hands. Peaceful's eyes twitched. She seemed to be struggling with the request. In the end, she adhered to what the young man in white clothes told her. She commanded the overbearing bug to attack Han Senator. This overbearing bug was different from Sherbwa's overbearing bug. Its carapace was black, but it had a golden sheen. Its power and speed were far greater than Sherbwa's overbearing bug. Do you want to use my overbearing bug as cat food? You can go to hell. Peaceful was secretly furious. She hoped the overbearing bug could swallow Han-sun in one gulp. The overbearing bug's body was very big, but its speed was quite scary. It was just like a flea. Its body became blurry a little as it teleported in front of Han Senator. Its mouth was full of long teeth that were going to try swallowing Han-sun. But Han-sun raised his arm high and threw a punch down. Boom. The overbearing bug's head was punched into the ground. Brain juice went everywhere. It was murdered outright. Peaceful's eyes almost popped out of their sockets. Before, Han-sun had been able to punch a juvenile overbearing bug, but her overbearing bug was an adult. Still, Han-sun was able to obliterate its brain. It was extremely hard to believe. The white-clothed young man was astounded as he watched from nearby. He clapped and said, "Very interesting. You can really kill an overbearing bug with your bare hands. How are you so strong?" Han-sun looked at the young man and asked, "Will you uphold your promise?" "Of course." "Peaceful, give him the body of your overbearing bug." The white-clothed young man walked over to Han Senator. As he walked, he asked, "Your name is Han-sun, right? Were you born with a blood pulse? If so, what blood pulse do you have? How can you be so powerful?" After that, The young man in white clothes reached out his hands to touch Hansen's muscles. He looked curious as he did so. Mr. No. The white-clothed young man had yet to touch Hansen when a shadow appeared in front of him. He could not get close to Hans Sr. Did I not request that you guys not follow me? Why are you here? The young man in white clothes did not look happy. He madly looked at that person. My bad. The man kneeled before the young man, but it did not look as if he was going to budge. He lowered his head and said, This person is too dangerous. Please do not put yourself at risk. The white-clothed young man coldly shouted, I just wanted to talk to him. Why would it be dangerous? Go back now. Mister, please just think about it. The man remained in front of the young man, as if he was not going to leave. I am taking the overbearing bug. Hansen sensed that the white-clothed young man was someone special, but that did not matter to him. He waved at the white-clothed young man and walked over to the overbearing bug. He picked up its body and planned to leave. Annoying asshole. Get out of my way. The young man in white clothes looked very irritated. He kicked the kneeling man out of the way and walked over to Hans Sr. Hansen, if you are willing to return with me, I can promise you great wealth, the young man in white clothes passionately said. Why do you want me to come with you so badly? Hansen asked as he continued to walk. My big sister has a very powerful gene race, the white-clothed man said as he gritted his teeth. I keep losing and end up getting bullied by her. I want you to help me beat her gene race, so I can exact my revenge. Hansen rolled his eyes. I am human. I am not a gene race. I know, but there are no rules suggesting humans cannot compete in an arena, the young man seriously said. I am not going, Hansen said. He didn't even turn around to look at the young man as he spoke. I thought you wanted the bodies of gene races, the white-clothed young man quickly said. If you can kill my big sister's gene race, you can have the body. Not interested. Hansen did not even think twice about rejecting the offer. He did not really need gene races. I will give you 10 gene eggs. No. I will give you 20. The young man kept making offers. He looked as if he was not going to give up. Hansen kept ignoring him and continued walking away. The white-clothed young man did not want to give up. He kept following Hansen, trying to convince him. Peaceful and the guard were following the young man. They were on alert. They stared at Hansen. They were afraid Hansen might do something bad to the young man. Hansen was getting annoyed by the young man. He pointed to Peaceful and casually said, Fine, if you want me to go to that arena, then make her become my slave. Peaceful was furious and asked, What did you just say? Upon hearing this, the young man looked very happy. He looked at Hansen and asked, Do you mean it? Yeah, I am serious, Hansen said with a laugh. Peaceful, do that for me. The young man in white clothes said to Peaceful. The expressions on Hansen and Peaceful immediately changed. Hansen thought, Jesus Christ, what kind of landlord's stupid son is this? He really agreed. Peaceful was the granddaughter of Dragon Song City's leader. Ordinary people would not have agreed with Hansen's condition. Even Big Qin Kingdom's king would not have humiliated his children's subordinates. Yet the white-clothed young man had immediately agreed to give Peaceful to Hansen as a slave. How stupid was he to say something like that? Peaceful kneeled and said with simmering anger, Mister, please grant me death. Even the guard looked at the white-clothed young man strangely, but he held his tongue. Upon hearing Peaceful wanted to die, the white-clothed young man froze. He wished to say something more, but the guard suddenly shouted, Careful, mister. After that, the guard's body shone with a strange light. Wings appeared on his back, and strange horns were on his head. He threw a punch into the sky. A bolt of lightning came down from the sky. It burned the guard into a crisp. He fell to the ground and died. Hansen turned around. He saw a beautiful woman with white wings wearing a white dress come forth with lightning crackling around her. She descended from the sky like a wrathful angel. Chapter 30:46 Looking at an angel. The white-clothed young man reacted quickly. He went behind Hansen and grabbed him by the clothes. Hansen was going to throw the landlord's stupid son away, since they did not know each other. He did not know if the young man was a good guy or a bad guy, and he did not want to be his meat shield. The beautiful, angel-like woman broke space and arrived. She did not seem to care much about anything. She pointed at Hansen with a long sword. Scary thunder rolled through the sky and broke space. It was obviously trying to blow Hansen and the white-clothed young man behind him into charcoal. Hansen did not want to start any trouble, but he was not going to allow others to bully him. Thus, he threw a punch at the lightning coming from space. Peaceful was next to them. She shouted, "Careful. She has combined with the God-class gene race Big Space Thunder God Eagle. Big Space Thunder God can destroy everything and travel 1,000 miles. Do not underestimate it." The lightning came too quickly. Before Peaceful could finish, Hansen's fist had already smacked the scary lightning. Boom! The electric light exploded. Hansen blew up the scary lightning. It flickered in the sky. It did not hurt Hansen, and it was not sent into the white-clothed young man's body. Peaceful's mouth opened wide. She could not even close her mouth. Going against Big Space God Thunder with his body, and not being harmed was incredible. It was beyond what she could have ever believed. The beautiful lady in the sky also looked shocked, but it was just for one moment. In the next second, she started swinging her long sword. Many Big Space God lightning came striking down at Han Sr. This world really does still possess elites. Hansen's fist felt a bit numb. Although the lightning could not hurt him, it made him feel bad. Seeing more thunder break space and come, Hansen waved his fist back to welcome them. With one punch after another, he broke the incoming lightning. Sparks exploded everywhere. It was like a god battle shower with thunder and sparks. Upon seeing this, Mr. Yang and Peaceful were frozen. Mr. Yang thought Hansen was not a human. Peaceful looked at Hansen, as if she was not watching a real person. From his position behind Hansen, the white-clothed young man looked happy. After hiding behind Hansen's strong body, he felt as if there was nothing to be afraid of in the entire world. He shouted, "Hansen, don't you like maids? Go get that powerful woman. I will have her and Peaceful be your maids." When Hansen heard him say that, he thought it was rather funny and ridiculous. Hansen could have any girl he wanted, but he never really got obsessed with women. Besides, he could just beat that angelic, beautiful woman. He did not need the young man to grant him anything. Peaceful, who was next to them, looked worse than Han Senator. That landlord stupid still remembered that. Hansen blocked a dozen lightning strikes. It looked as if his hands were going to end up swollen by the electricity. He saw that the beautiful lady was not ceasing her relentless discharge. He thought it was going to be a bad situation if things carried on that way. He jumped up and flew toward the angelic, beautiful woman. Hansen had no choice. His body was getting repelled by the world. He was no longer able to fly, so he had to jump. The faster he jumped, the more power he used. That meant he felt even more restrictions. Hansen's body was like a cannon firing into the sky. The pretty woman flapped her wings. Like lightning, she ascended to fly at a higher altitude. Hansen grabbed nothing and fell back to the ground. The beautiful woman did not wait for him to land. She waved her long sword without emotion. Her body was like lightning. Her sword was like a bolt of bullying electricity. Her body flickered amid the lightning, which was like a sharp sword crossing. It was all wreathed to take care of Han Sr. This woman is insane. She hasn't said a word, yet she has come here to try and kill us. She is just like the landlord's stupid son. Hansen felt depressed. He could not use strength in the air, and he could not dodge her attacks. The lightning ahead was fine, but Hansen couldn't block the lightning in the back. When the thunder hit his back, it made his body shake. It was like he was delivered a lashing from a whip. Although that power could not harm his body, it did not feel good. Hansen frowned. Even with the world repelling his power, it was still stronger than what that mad woman possessed. Still, she had flying and thunder powers. Hansen was unable to touch her. He was being forced into getting beat. As Hansen was feeling depressed, Small Cat, who was in his arms, sweetly meowed. Then, Hansen saw a red light flicker within Small Cat. A red light went into his body. Hansen felt as if his body was suddenly delivered a warm power that surged throughout him. In the next second, the power roared through his body. It made Han-sun unable to hold anything. He roared into the sky. Meow. After that cat voice shocked the sky and earth, Han-sen's head grew red cat ears. He also grew a fluffy cat tail behind him. Even his eyes were red like small cats. He finally used a xenogenic gene. Peaceful looked frozen. She looked at Han-sun, wanting to know what xenogenic gene the almighty Han-sun was using. Mr. Yang's mouth opened wide. It was like he had an egg stuck in his throat and could not scream or swallow. His face looked extremely weird. No. That is impossible. Isn't he a gene race? How can a gene race transform because of a gene race? Mr. Yang's head was too cluttered with thoughts to think straight. Han-sun looked at the pretty lady who looked like thunder. Some weird power was filling up in his eyes. It made his eyes look very red. That pretty woman saw Han-sun combine with a gene race and transform. Her thunder power grew more powerful. She clutched a long sword in her hands and slashed at Han-Senator. The thunder gathered up like a weird bird. It came slashing in front of Han-Senator Pang. Han-sen's eyes flashed red. He fired out 2 red lights. He blew up the Thunder Eagle. The red light did not seem to stop. It was like a laser shooting into the sky. Flowers were everywhere. The 2 red lights pierced through the woman's body. She screamed and madly looked at Han-Senator. She flapped her wings and became a bolt of lightning to escape. Suddenly, she was in the clouds and gone. After Han-sen's eyes fired out light, it felt as if the weird power in his body was decreasing. He could not shoot out a second light. The woman was gone, and the power inside Han-sun was gone as well. It turned into a red light that came out of him. It gathered up and looked like Small Cat again. Now Small Cat looked very weak. Its young claws grabbed Han-sen's clothes. It sounded very tired as it let out a meow. Han-sun was delighted. He cuddled Small Cat and complimented it. Not bad. Not bad. Claiming you was not such a bad idea after all. You are much better than that old cat asshole. It looks like I can use this world's power. Han-sun checked out Small Cat's body and knew that it was just a little weak. He stopped worrying and felt happier. He thought he was unable to use gene races, but that no longer seemed to be the case. Chapter 3047 Crown Prince Qin by Mr. Crown Prince. I am sorry I was too late to save you. I should die. A very sharp voice, which did not sound like a man or a woman, was heard. Suddenly, a dozen shadows appeared. They all kneeled in front of the white-clothed young. The leader of the regiment apologized profusely. Useless slaves! The white-clothed young man angrily yelled. If Han-sun had not saved me, I would have been turned into charcoal by that woman. You guys are useless. Yes, we deserve to die. The dozen people did not dare say anything else. They merely continued to apologize over and over upon the ground. What the hell? Are they filming a TV show? Han-sun was frozen as he watched the scene. Although the universe had an empirical system in place, it should not have been as ridiculous as this. The white-clothed young man ignored the men and said to Han-sun, Han-sun, you saved me. Why don't you come back to my palace? I will treat you nicely. He looked happy as he spoke. Can I ask which kingdom you come from? Han-sun looked at the white-clothed young man with a complicated expression. This is the land of the Big Qin Kingdom, and I am Big Qin Kingdom's crown prince. The white-clothed young man cockily said. My surname is Qin, but my name is Bai. Just call me by my name. Han-sun's face looked complicated. He thought. Qin Xiu was powerful all his life. Why would he have such a dumb child? It looks like genes aren't very reliable. Mr. Crown Prince, I am not going to go to the palace, Han-sun said. If you really want to thank me, just give me a high-class gene egg. Upon hearing Han-sun, Qin Bai receded into thought. A while later, his eyes turned bright. He happily asked, do you want high-class gene eggs? That is not difficult. In the palace, there is an ancient well with a high-class gene egg. I think its level is extremely high. Come with me, and I will give you the gene egg. Before Han-sun could respond, the faces of the people kneeling on the floor changed. The one with a voice that did not sound like a man's or a woman's voice said, Mister, You cannot do that. That is the Big Qing Kingdom's suppress luck item. You cannot move it. If the king finds out, he will be furious. After Qin Bai heard mention of the king, he looked afraid. He changed his tone and said, "That doesn't matter. If he is willing to come with me, I will give him a top-class gene egg." "Thank you for your kindness, Crown Prince, but I have stuff to do. I do not think I can go." Han Sen had yet to learn about the area. He did not want to go to Big Qin Palace. If his body was not restricted by the world, he would not have been afraid. Now he had to maintain a low profile. Qin Bai really wanted Han Sen to go with him, but Han Sen was adamant about not going no matter what. There was nothing he could do. When he left, he kept turning his head back. He repeatedly told Han Sen that if he ever visited the capital, he should look for him. He would prepare the best gene egg for Han Senator eventually. Qin Bai was gone. Peaceful did not leave with him. Peaceful looked at Han Sen and asked, "Han Sen, are you interested in establishing a trade?" Han Sen picked up the body of the overbearing bug and kept walking as he asked, "What trade? Don't you need some gene races and gene eggs?" Peaceful asked, "I know a place with many gene races and gene eggs. If you and Mr. Yang want to come with me, you are sure to get something out of it." Han Sen did not speak. He looked at Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang coughed and said, "Lady Peace, you are not suggesting the King Qin treasure, are you?" "To be honest, Mr. Meng hired me to go and find the King Qin treasure with him. We were not successful in our venture. Mr. Meng is still trapped somewhere and hasn't come back, and I don't know if he is dead or alive." Peaceful shook her head. "You misunderstood, Mr. Meng. I am not looking for King Qin's treasure. I am looking for a hidden god pulse. We calculated where the hidden god pulse might be, but we were unable to determine the precise location. Ergo, we require your help. We will reward you after. A hidden god pulse in ancient Big God Mountain." After hearing that, Mr. Yang was shocked. He looked at Peaceful in disbelief. "Yes, it is in ancient Big God Mountain," Peaceful said with a nod. She went on to say, "I am sure you must have noticed in the past year that many big god pulses have shown up, and there are usually many gene eggs. The hidden god pulse has only recently appeared. You can see the pulse air, but we do not know where it is. If you can find where it is, you will earn a fair share." The prospect greatly tempted Mr. Yang, but he did not agree to it. He looked at Han Sen as if he was his boss. "What is a hidden god pulse?" Han Sen asked. Mr. Yang tried to explain things to him slowly. Ordinary land pulses were able to produce 2 or 3 gene eggs, which was considered a lot. Hidden god pulses were claimed to yield more than 100 gene eggs, and perhaps even much more. Based on the description, a hidden god pulse was like a very rich mine. Upon hearing that, Han Sen was immediately interested. After finding out he could combine with gene races, he was eager to learn much more about them. Of course, the main reason was that after fighting the woman, Han Sen noticed his body was suppressed by the world far too much. If he could have some powerful gene races to help, things would be much easier for him. That woman was strong, which made him feel weary. He had no clue how many scary elites might exist within the 7 kingdoms. With his situation being what it was, Han Sen thought he was unable to defeat the top elites that existed throughout the 7 kingdoms. How did Qin Xiu break the space barrier and enter my universe? Han Sen's power was no worse than Qin Xiu. Yet under the suppression of that world, breaking a tunnel seemed impossible. Peaceful proposed a deal. "If the 2 of you are willing to help me find a hidden god pulse, how about we each take 10%? If the 2 of us only get 20% combined, isn't that too little?" Han Sen asked with a frown. Peaceful shook her head. "There is something you don't know. The hidden spirit god pulse is very dangerous. It is not something 2 people can claim by themselves. I am cooperating with others. In the end, I will only be receiving 30%. You will be taking 20% of that pie. The others will be the ones claiming 50%. Han Sen did not understand things like this, so he looked at Mr. Yang. Mr. Yang nodded and said, "The hidden god pulse is dangerous. There will be gene races there that have already hatched. If the god pulse has been out for a while, perhaps the gene races will eat the unhatched gene eggs. Perhaps they have already grown. It will be troublesome no matter what. Fine, 20% it is then. Han-sun sensed that Mr. Yang was eager to go, which made him want to go as well. Thus, he agreed to the terms. In that case, please follow me back to camp, Peaceful said with a smile. I will introduce you to the others we will be doing this with. Chapter 30-48 High-Class God Spirit Blood Pulse. Although Han-sun thought it would be difficult if he and Mr. Yang wanted a share of this, Peaceful still took them back and introduced Mr. Yang to her partners. Those people were greatly enthused to meet Mr. Yang. They had no problem learning they were to lose 20% of their cut for his services. When he returned to his room, Han-sun looked at Mr. Yang and laughed. Old Yang, I did not expect you to be this well-renowned. Mr. Yang had a wry smile. Sometimes, it is very bad to earn a reputation and title you cannot live up to. Although I have knowledge when it comes to looking for blood pulses, I do not have the power to protect myself. That is the reason why I suffer when it comes to treasure hunting. Without you, Peaceful would not be so nice to me. I am afraid I would have to come here against my will, and I would likely not be given a 20% cut. While Han-sun was talking with Mr. Yang, he took out the body of the overbearing bug and started cooking it in the oven. They were inside a hotel in ancient God City. They could not make a fire, so having an oven was not too shabby. Small Cat was politely sitting next to the oven. He was looking through the cooker's window, staring at the slowly roasting meat inside of it. It wanted to devour what was inside so bad that one could see the kitten drool in anticipation. When it was eventually cooked, Han-sun split the meal into 3 parts. He was going to give Mr. Yang 1 part, but Mr. Yang shook his head. My old body cannot accept this gene race meat. You should enjoy it. Do the nobles not eat gene race meat either? Han-sun asked with curiosity. People will eat such things only when they have no other choice, but they will never eat too much. Gene race flesh has too much weird energy. Human bodies cannot take too much of that energy. Only gene races can eat it. Mr. Yang stared at Han-senator. He watched Han-sun consume the meat. It made him think, is this guy a gene race? If he is not a gene race, his body and the amount he can eat is nothing like a human. He is like a gene race. But if he is a gene race, how can a gene race combine with another gene race? Han-sun and Small Cat, a man and a cat, ate a lot of the overbearing bug meat. Small Cat was very small, but he had no problem eating a cow's weight of the overbearing bug meat. Its small belly was stretched. It laid out its limbs and comfortably reclined after the meal. Its small paws were placed on its circular belly. A look of utter satisfaction crossed the cat's face. Han-sun ate a few more pieces. He noticed that he did not get any gene announcements. He was disappointed, so he stopped eating. Mr. Yang wanted to say something, but he saw that the night sky was brightening up outside the hotel. Han-sun and Mr. Yang looked out the window. A purple beam of light was shot into the sky. It fired into the clouds. It was like a pillar connecting the sky and the earth. That was the location of Evil Lotus God Temple. I wonder what happened there. Han-sun stood in front of the window with a frown as he observed the purple light. Mr. Yang looked at the location for a while. He looked envious as he said, someone has a complete Evil Lotus God blood pulse. I did not expect ancient God City was home to such a genius. Han-sun looked at Mr. Yang and asked, what do you mean? Mr. Yang explained, normal people get a blood pulse that is not complete. It is like what we saw before when people got 1 or 2 purple lotuses, or even 3 or 4 purple lotuses. They are not complete God spirit blood pulses. The weird scene that is happening now means someone has managed to get a complete Evil Lotus God blood pulse. The talent has maxed out. It is easier to get a gene race than it is for a normal person. That is their talent. After saying that, Mr. Yang sighed and said, it is very hard to compete with people. I only want a drop of a God spirit blood pulse, but I have never been able to get anything. Others? They always get what they want. Such geniuses. Ancient God City's leader will likely recruit that person. Are God spirit blood pulses really that important? Han-sun really did not understand this concept. The place where Han-sun grew up depended on effort and power. If they had power, They could use that power to accelerate their own growth in the sanctuaries and become stronger. This world seemed to be completely different. God Spirit blood pulses seemed to determine everyone's fate. Without a God Spirit blood pulse, a person did not even have a chance to get strong. They are very important, Mr. Young bitterly said. One purple lotus God Spirit blood pulse makes a Baron class gene race obey. It requires you to keep communicating and trying even without a guarantee of success. A complete lotus God pulse can give you a chance to claim King class gene races. Just think about it. If a 10-year-old boy can combine King class gene races to fight, it is all smooth sailing. They become a top-class elite in ancient God City overnight. Do you think it is important? To him, being unable to get a God Spirit blood pulse gave him pain and a disadvantage every minute of his life. While they were talking, the purple light beam spread out like a lotus flower. It created a giant purple light lotus. It hung in the sky for a few minutes before it disappeared. Hansen was now very interested in the God temples again. He wanted to know what might happen if he was to take the test. Will Evil Lotus God give me an Evil Lotus God blood pulse? Hansen looked at Evil Lotus God Temple with interest. Unfortunately, there were too many rules for the God Temple test. Hansen did not want to act like a bully and disregard the rules of the God Temple, so he decided against it. As for the rule that required him to pray before Evil Lotus God, there was no way that was ever going to happen. The hotel room had a computer. The technology of this world seemed to be advanced. At least, it was no worse than the universe computers. Making use of them was a breeze. Hansen entered the virtual community and checked out a lot of information. He learned more about the world. Just as Mr. Yang said, the world was one that used a blood pulse to determine a person's level. In any of this universe's 7 kingdoms, a person was the cheapest and least regarded in society if they didn't have a God Spirit blood pulse. Many such people were sold like slaves. The more God Spirit blood pulses one received, the higher up on the societal ladder one was. But that was not absolute. Having a powerful God Spirit blood pulse meant nothing if a person did not have a powerful gene race to back them up. Without one, they were just as useless. The kings of the 7 big kingdoms had destroyed class God Spirit blood pulses. That was how they ruled the world. What made Hansen feel weird was that in the virtual community, he was not able to search about reboot class God temples or God spirits. It seemed as if no one had ever received a reboot class God Spirit blood pulse. Reboot class God spirits should be in the Geno Hall, but this world does not seem to have a Geno Hall. This is weird. While Hansen was browsing the information, he found an interesting virtual community function. This function tested the strength and determined the level of a God Spirit blood pulse. Chapter 3049 God Spirit Blood Pulse Test. Hansen did not understand the reason for testing, but the method of doing so was simple enough. He just needed to sit in a chair in the virtual community. Then a circular room would begin spinning. It would spin faster and faster. On the spinning walls, some words would appear. The tester was required to memorize the words. The more words they remembered, the more powerful the God Spirit blood pulse was. Humans with no God Spirit blood pulses were also able to take the test. When the room started spinning, they would be unable to see the words. Hansen was curious. It was a virtual test, so he would not lose anything by giving it a go. Thus, he started the virtual test. He sat on the chair in the virtual room. After Hansen sat down, the chair started hovering in the air. The dome-like room started to spin. Before it started spinning, Hansen saw now words on the walls. When the room started to quickly spin, he was able to see text uneasily flicker across the walls. The text was written in the same manuscript as the language of the universe he had come from. Hansen recognized the words, so he was able to memorize them all. As the room kept spinning faster and faster, more and more text appeared. Hansen had no feelings toward it. He easily memorized them all. The text in the content is a bit weird. Hansen looked at them for a while. He noted it was sort of like a Geno art, but that Geno art was different from the Geno arts of the other universe. It did not seem like something a human was able to learn. Hansen kept trying to remember and study it. He thought it should not have been called a Geno art. It was more like a God spirit art. Only people with God spirit blood pulses were able to learn that skill. While Hansen researched the God spirit art and tried to memorize it all, an old man was staring at a tablet inside a machine inside the Big Qin Kingdom's capital's God Blood Department. The God Blood Department was a new department for the Big Qin Kingdom. It was for recording how many God spirit blood pulses resided in the kingdom, and what levels they had. Before, they had to do a national census, which required a lot of manpower and resources. Ever since the virtual God spirit blood pulses test system was created, the God Blood Department's workload had been significantly decreased. All they had to do was collect the data, which was then sent straight to the God Blood Department. Now, aside from some very important personnel, most of the people from the God Blood Department had been laid off due to technological advancements. The entire God Blood Department was only comprised of 30 employees. There were 1 chairman and 3 managers. The one in charge of the virtual God Spirit Blood Pulses test system was one of the managers. His name was Ma Guocheng. Thus far, his night had been nothing special. He made a cup of tea and sat on a chair to read the news. Suddenly, the server's data showed something anomalous, which surprised Ma Guocheng. The server had been created 3,000 years ago. The system had been working fine the whole time. There had never been any errors. It was not like the system was indestructible. The server itself had always been refurbished with newer hardware, and always been kept in fine condition. Even if there was a problem, there was backup hardware to swap out. If the data had a problem, the computer switched to the backup hardware. Now the problem was still there. The abnormal data made sirens sound, and nothing could be done to quell them. This had never happened before. Ma Guocheng was shocked. He quickly opened the camera feed to show the maintenance room. As he was looking, Ma Guocheng was ever more surprised. The whole virtual God Spirit Blood Pulse test system's heart could be swapped, but there was one thing that could not. The core of the virtual God Spirit Blood Pulses test system was a God Spirit tablet. Every kingdom had a virtual God Spirit Blood Pulses test system, but the way the tests were conducted was different. Big Qin Kingdom's tests relied on a God Spirit tablet. In legends, God Spirit tablets were there at the founding of the Big Qin Kingdom. They hailed from the very first generation of King Qins. The tablet was weird. After many generations of research, no one was able to figure out what the God Spirit tablet actually did, and what it could be used on. Eventually, a clever researcher combined the God Spirit tablet with the virtual systems. He noticed that the God Spirit tablets could be used on the virtual internet, and make it show words. After many years of research, this virtual God Spirit Blood Pulse test system was created 3,000 years ago. Compared to the testing methods of the other kingdoms, Big Qin Kingdom's testing accuracy was very high. There were never many mistakes. Ma Guocheng had been in the God Blood Department for a few decades now, and something like this had never happened before. He saw the God Spirit tablet, which was slotted into the system, start to glow. The text on the tablet started to glow strangely. It lit up the whole room. The God Spirit tablet was like hot steel. It had become semi-transparent. What is going on? Ma Guocheng thought this was bad. He quickly picked up the phone to call the maintenance workers over. He wanted them to go and check the tools inside that room to see if there was something wrong with one of the pieces of equipment. Ma Guocheng soon learned the phone had no signal. All of the machines were starting to break. Some of them were frying and producing white smoke. Holy shit! What is going on here? Ma Guocheng needed to act fast. He quickly went to the power button of the room and pulled the lever down. He cut off the whole room's power to make all the equipment cease functioning. After that, the room started to look a bit better. The God Spirit tablet had looked like it was going to explode at one point, but now it had ceased glowing. A second later, it returned to its form of a gray slab of stone. The signal returned to normal. Ma Guocheng hastily called the CEO and other main members of the God Blood Department. He also called the maintenance workers. After those people arrived, they saw that much of the equipment in the room was smoking. Everyone felt weird about what they were witnessing. CEO Li Qingyun looked grim, and asked Ma Guocheng what had happened. Ma Guocheng explained the situation. but no one seemed to believe him. Li Qingyun commanded the team to go and fix the room and find out what happened. There were many broken parts. Fortunately, the server was composed of many parts that could be swapped out. In half a day, the server was almost operating normally again. The team was still unable to find out why it had broken. After a few days of research, they studied and investigated the feed of broken data and discovered something. The maintenance team wrote their findings down in their log before handing it over to Li Qingyun. When it happened, Ancient God City had a giant chunk of data that was needed to be processed. The data, however, was broken. It cannot be located in its entirety, and we cannot find out from where in Ancient God City it came from. Chapter 30-50 Entering Big God Mountain. Again, Han Sun felt very weird. Up until the text in the test showed up, he had yet to exhibit the syndrome the internet described. According to other testers who had shared their progress, humans with a bad god spirit blood pulse were more likely to feel dizzy. Many of them even passed out. Even the nobles who completed a god spirit blood pulse test did not last longer than half an hour, but Han Sun had already been in the test for an hour. He had also yet to feel uncomfortable. The flickering text was already repeating itself. As it repeated, Han Sun was suddenly surrounded by darkness. He was bounced out of the virtual test room. Is it over? Han Sun was a bit confused. He had yet to see his test results, so how could he have been thrown out already? When he connected to the test's virtual community, it said the servers no longer existed. He was even unable to connect to the main website. How could this website shut down for no reason? This system is so unreliable. Han Sun felt a little bit depressed. He wanted to see what his level was like, but he could now not even access the official website. Since there was nothing he could do about it, Han Sun decided to browse other websites to learn more about the world he was in. Han Sun learned something about land pulses. He was quickly able to understand why the nobles only understood a small amount about them. It was like a blend of fantasy and theory. With the information being half and half, it was a complicated subject. Many things were not explained very well, and there was no clear standard. It was just like the metaphysics Han Sun had studied. The complications involved were harder to understand than chemistry. At least in chemistry, there were formulas to learn. Ground pulse skills did not have a formula. All kinds of reasons made the land pulses change and shift. Plus, there were some reasons as to why one only felt and did not sense these things. It couldn't really be explained. Learning something about them was not difficult, but it was hard to master the subject. Regardless if a person had a lot of time to learn it, they needed a lot of experience to even master it a little. Nobles did not have much time to learn all of it. They always located a mister who was professional in the matters of land pulses. They usually had to employ their services. Han Sun was quite interested in the skills involving land pulses. After a while of looking, he found it was similar to the metaphysics Mr. White had taught him. It was all very confusing. His brain felt tired, so he eventually gave up. Peaceful still needed to get some matters of preparation in order. They were leaving in 2 days. Therefore, Han Sun had nothing to do. He started to research the text he had learned during the test. The text recorded a skill called God Explode skill, or a God Spirit skill. Using the God Explode skill was very simple. One needed a God Spirit blood pulse and a gene race. After combining with a gene race, it made the gene race's power combine with the person's power to unleash a mighty strike. After that one hit, the gene race's life essence dried up. They would then be turned into dust. The gene race power was all released in that one hit. The power it produced was nothing like a normal gene race combining. What a very cruel skill. Every time you use it, you must sacrifice the life of a gene race. Only rich people should be able to use this skill. Han Sun did not have a God Spirit blood pulse, and he did not want to blow up Small Cat. Even if learned it, he did not want to use it. There was a hidden field of asteroids in space. One asteroid was as big as a football field. It followed the flow of the other asteroids. From the outside, it did not look like anything special. On the inside, it was a secret base that had everything. After chasing down Crown Prince Qinbai, fighting Han Sun, and being forced to escape, the white-clothed pretty woman was back in that base. Her back no longer possessed the angelic white wings. Her face and senses were far inferior to how they were when she transformed. Even if Han Sun was there, he would no longer be able to recognize her. "We leader, are you really going to risk this?" Su Linger's eyes were open wide as he looked upon the white-clothed woman. The white-clothed woman coldly said, "Crown Prince Qinbai is rarely alone. It was such a grand chance to kill him, so it will only be harder going forward. According to the resources we have, Qinbai really misses Han Senator. He wants to bring Han Sun to the capital. He was rejected, but he has not given up. Han Sun will eventually visit Big Qin's capital. We just need to stay on him. Then we might have the chance to see Qinbai again." "But leader, you do not have to do this yourself," Su Ling quickly said. "Just get some other people to do it." The white-clothed woman shook her head. "This Han Sun is a mysterious person. He is not someone simple. Even I cannot deal with him. If I cannot, you guys definitely cannot. I will do it myself this time." After pausing, the white-clothed woman asked, "Did you do what I told you to do?" "Yes, I did," Su Ling seriously said. "Ghost Kill is gone from this world." "That is good. We will continue doing things according to the plan," the white-clothed woman said, nodding with satisfaction. Han Sun waited until the day started. Peaceful and the others brought 2 new people. One of them was a woman wearing black clothes and a night ghost mask. The other was a man wearing decorative armor. When Peaceful introduced them, she said the black-clothed woman was Ghost Kill. They had spent a lot to hire her. When she introduced the young man with decorative armor, Han Sun and the others were surprised. The young man had received a god spirit blood pulse 2 days ago, and triggered an evil lotus weird scene. Han Sun only knew that he was called Ouyang Qiushan. He was from the Ouyang family from ancient God City. He was going with them to ancient Big God Mountain. Regarding why Peaceful was bringing him, it was something that Han Sun was not privileged enough to know. The young man, Ouyang Qiushan, had a complete God spirit blood pulse. Although he looked very polite and well-educated, he could not hide the cockiness that resided in his bones. Ouyang Qiushan only took Peaceful seriously. He did not care for anyone else. Han Sun was not interested in Ouyang Qiushan. Regardless if had an evil lotus god blood pulse. Evil lotus god himself had been badly beaten by Han Senator. The group of people started their trek to ancient Big God Mountain. The path ahead was led by Peaceful's people. They reached a spot nearby and needed Mr. Yang to calculate the precise position. They entered the roads of ancient Big God Mountain. It was a different location from where Han Sun had come, which made Mr. Yang breathe a sigh of relief. He now knew Peaceful was not looking for King Qin's treasure. They did not travel for long when on the mountains, the noise of a weird beast sounded. It sounded like a baby crying and/or a wild cat's weird scream. It made people feel uncomfortable. Peaceful said, "Ancient Big God Mountain does not have many people. Many gene eggs from the land pulse have already hatched. They will be hiding in the mountain. In this deep mountain, it is unknown how many scary gene races are here. Everyone should be careful and watch out for each other." Chapter 3051. Gene Race in the Mountain. Ouyang Qiushan looked at the mountain. Suddenly, his body burst with a green light. His shadow was like a weird snake that departed his body. In the next second, Han Sun and the others noticed Ouyang Qiushan's eyes were like those of a snake. They were green and white. There were no pupils or white visible. His body had green snake scales, and his back had strange scale wings. His entire body looked like a monster. He had combined with a gene race. Before anyone else could react, Ouyang Qiushan reached out his hand and waved at the mountain that had sounded with a roaring of a beast. An invisible wind blade went into the woods. The tree branches, which were a few hundred feet away, were cut down. Then a very bad scream was heard. After that, everything returned to normal. "It is done," Ouyang Qiushan coldly said. After seeing this, Peaceful frowned. Mr. Yang shockingly looked at Ouyang Qiushan and asked, "Is Mr. Qiushan's gene race the legendary wind-winged snake?" Ouyang Qiushan had a cocky expression. He looked at Mr. Yang with respect and said, "It is no wonder you are a mister. Your knowledge is very wide. It is the Ouyang family's wind-winged snake." One of the people there did not know what the wind-winged snake was. He looked at Mr. Yang and asked, "Mr. Yang, what level is the wind-winged snake gene race? Is it powerful? What is it like compared to the king-class storm tiger?" Ouyang Qiushan heard this and looked disdained, but he was not planning to explain. Mr. Yang said, "The king-class storm tiger is powerful, but it is different from the wind-winged snake. In legends, while the last generation of the Ouyang family was looking for land pulses on Big God Mountain, they suddenly saw a storm boil from afar. Across the mountain, their daytime travel turned to one of night. Then an evil green wind, which was like an evil dragon tornado, wrecked the valley. It broke down trees that would require many people to tear down. It pulled their roots out of the ground and tossed them into the sky. It was very strange. The scary and evil wind did not leave half an inch out of that valley. The master of Ouyang thought there was something weird in that valley, so he waited outside the valley for half a month. He waited until the evil wind ceased, and then carefully entered the valley. There was a very weird land pulse there. He dug up a wind-winged snake egg from that land pulse. "Did the wind-winged snake egg make that weird scene?" the man asked. "It must have been a very powerful gene race. Did Mr. Qiushan bring this gene race to help us? I feel much safer after learning that. I do not have to worry about meeting powerful gene races." The other people nodded and agreed. They all complimented Ouyang Qiushan. It made Ouyang Qiushan's face look even more wretchedly cocky. Han Sun, who was next to them, saw it all clearly. The few guys were not smiling truthfully. The people who dared go to ancient Big God Mountain were not weak. They were there to bully Ouyang Qiushan. They wanted to kill him. Now that he had been complimented by them when they met a powerful gene race, Ouyang Qiushan would be dying to show off. He would probably rush in front of people and make their danger point lower. "Okay, let's go see what gene race that was." Peaceful called the men to go and get the gene race Ouyang Qiushan had killed. The God Spirit blood pulse mark on the forehead of a man flashed. Suddenly, a gold ape-like gene race was summoned out of thin air. After it combined with the owner, he looked like an ape. He climbed into the mountains, which somehow looked very flat. He quickly raced into the mountains. Arg! Everybody was waiting for him to bring the gene race body back. After disappearing into the mountains, who would have expected the man to suddenly let out a big scream? The leader, Zhao Juyi, looked into the mountain and screamed, "Old Nine, what is going on?" Although the true leader was peaceful, she had only brought one guard. Aside from Han Sun, Mr. Yang, Ouyang Qiushan, and Ghost Kill, they were all people belonging to Zhao Juyi. Han Sun did not know anything about Zhao Juyi. Peaceful had made no effort to introduce him. Zhao Juyi looked like a very nice old man. He appeared to be in his 50s or 60s, yet he seemed very young. He looked a bit holy, and the way he talked was funny. On the way, he had been talking pleasantly with Han Sun and the others. He was like a very nice old man. Han Sun sensed that the men he was with were all weirdly polite to him, because they were likely obeying Zhao Juyi. Zhao Juyi shouted a few times, but no one answered him from the mountains. Everyone's expressions changed. Ouyang Qiushan's face looked the worst. He was the one who had said the threat in the mountain had been eliminated, but now someone had just screamed. His words were why Zhao Juyi had one of his people collect the body. Now something had happened to Old Nine. Thus everyone looked at Ouyang Qiushan, whose face looked grim. "I will go and check it out," Ouyang Qiushan said. He flapped his scaled wings and flew into the sky. He flew toward the mountain. "Let's go take a look." Peaceful seemed worried that something might happen to Ouyang Qiushan. She summoned her gene race, combined with it, and went off into the mountains. Everyone summoned their gene race. They combined and went to the mountain's wall. They were headed for the forest. "Mr. Yang, I am so sorry." Han Sun was holding a metal pillar. He used his other hand to grab Mr. Yang. They jumped outside of the mountain. A few of them jumped into the mountain. He put down Mr. Yang and heard some screams come from the mountain. Han Sun quickly followed the other people into the mountain. He was surprised by what everyone else was shocked as well. Leaves were falling everywhere. On an old tree, which was 9 foot tall, there was a monkey's skin that was stretched. The gold hair was dyed blood red. There was still blood dripping. Hansun had a look. It was not the skin of an ape. It was Old Nine, who had just combined with an ape. Now all that remained of Old Nine was his skin. It was unknown where his flesh and bones went. There was only that bloody skin left, and it was pinned to a tree with branches. Whoa! Ouyang Qiushan was unable to keep his shock in. He threw up everywhere. He almost coughed up his guts. No matter how talented he was, he had never seen such a grisly sight. The blood on the skin dripped across the tree. It made everyone's scalp feel numb. Chills were running down their spines. Cry! Cry! Not far away, from deeper into the mountains, a baby cried. It was either the sound of a baby crying or a cat crying. Regardless, the sound was ringing in everyone's ears. It made people feel a chill. Hansun looked toward where the sound had come from. Since his seventh sense was suppressed too much in this world, and there were lots of trees and vines around him, he was unable to see what was there. Chapter 3052 Blood Ghost Spirit. I want to see what thing you are. Ouyang Qiushan coldly grunted. He flapped the wings on his back, wanting to borrow the wind and fly. Peaceful suddenly stopped him and quietly said, "Let's figure out where things stand first. Ancient Big God Mountains have many scary and cruel gene races. Perhaps what we have now encountered is a scary guy. Do not underestimate such a foe." One of Zhao Juye's men screamed, "Blood Ghost Spirit. We must have encountered a Blood Ghost Spirit." It was such a big operation, so it could not have been just one Mr. there. There was more than just Mr. Yang. Zhao Juyi had brought 2 of his own misters. The Mr. who sounded so frightened was Li 3-Eye. His surname was Li. The reason why he had the title of 3-Eye was because of the scar on his forehead. It looked like a third, albeit closed, eye. Of course, the most important thing about him, aside from the fact he could see land pulses, was his ability to identify gene eggs and gene races. He only needed to see the shape of a gene egg to determine what kind of gene race was inside. That was also why he was called Li 3-Eye. When Zhao Juyi heard the words Blood Ghost Spirits, his face changed. The kindness in his face rapidly depleted. He stared at Li 3-Eye and asked, 3-Eye, are you certain that it is a Blood Ghost Spirit we have stumbled upon? Li 3-Eye was trembling as he confirmed it. I cannot be wrong about this. It must be a Blood Ghost Spirit. I have heard about these things before. Ancient Big God Mountain has a Blood Ghost Spirit, and now, Old Nine's skin is hanging on the bark. Aside from a Blood Ghost Spirit that eats flesh and bone, what else could the gene race be? What else would do such a thing? Peaceful and the others were like Han Senator. They did not know what a Blood Ghost Spirit was. They asked, Mr. Li, can you explain what level and element a Blood Ghost Spirit gene race is? Li 3-Eye looked conflicted. He said, Lady Peace, in the Big Qing Kingdom, there is a famous assassin called Mo Li. You should have heard about him before. Peaceful nodded and said, Mo Li was our kingdom's famous hero and warrior. Back in the day, Chu Wei and Han, the 3 big kingdoms, wanted to attack the Big Qing Kingdom. It was in danger. The Chu Kingdom's assassin, Mo Li, killed the king of Wei. He succeeded, but he died. It made the cooperation of the 3 kingdoms fracture and break. A dozen years later, they discovered that Mo Li was from the Big Qing Kingdom. He had disguised himself as an assassin from the Chu Kingdom when he assassinated the Wei king. He helped with the danger the Big Qing Kingdom faced, and earned a bad reputation for a dozen years. Yet he was actually a hero for the Big Qing Kingdom. Li 3-Eye nodded and said, the legends say Mo Li had 3 gene races. The most famous one was called One Sky Dragon. It became famous for assassinating Wei's king. Everyone knows that, but not many people know that Mo Li combined with 3 gene races to assassinate Wei's king. One of them was the Blood Ghost Spirit. Really? What is the level of the gene race Blood Ghost Spirit? What power does it wield? Ouyang Qiushan asked with shock. Li 3-Eye shook his head. He looked afraid as he said, no one knows what power the Blood Ghost Spirit has because aside from Mo Li, no one in this world has a Blood Ghost Spirit. The legends claim that the land pulse of the blood ghost spirit's birth was beneath the ruin of a city. That city had a population of 10 million, but it was murdered in one day. The whole city was full of human skin, and the blood made a river. No one knew why until a land pulse was discovered beneath that ruined city. The gene egg in there belonged to the blood ghost spirit. After hearing that, Peaceful's expression quickly changed. Is the ruined city Mr. Lee is talking about Half-Day City? Yes, it is Half-Day City, Lee 3 said with a nod. Peaceful saw a dark cave deeper in the jungle. Her face looked serious. I have only heard about Half-Day City and the presence of a very murderous gene race. I did not know the culprit was a blood ghost spirit. Cry. Cry. It was like it was answering Peaceful. The mountain echoed with a weird noise sound like the crying of a baby. It sounded like something was crying or laughing. It made people's scalps feel numb. Everyone developed a cold sweat. If that is really a blood ghost spirit, I am afraid we are all going to die, Lee 3 said. The blood ghost spirit is the strongest. If we offend it, it will likely kill us all. Even if we leave ancient Big God Mountain now, it will still pursue us. He looked at Ouyang Qiushan. Regarding Lee 3's stare, everyone knew it was Ouyang Qiushan who had offended the blood ghost spirit. If they handed him over, the others might survive. Aside from Ouyang Qiushan not knowing what was happening, everyone knew what was happening. Peaceful's face changed as she said, "We still cannot confirm if it is the blood ghost spirit. Even if it is, are we going to fall back empty-handed just because of a blood ghost spirit? Are we going to give up on the blood pulse?" After Peaceful said that, Zhao Juyi looked confused. Peaceful wanted to protect Ouyang Qiushan. Everyone knew that, but what she said made sense. They were all experienced when it came to shedding blood on their blades. Could they really just fall back, because of the chance that there was a blood ghost spirit gene race nearby? If they kept on going, having the wind-winged snake Ouyang Qiushan with them would prove to be an invaluable boon. Zhao Juyi laughed. He looked at Ouyang Qiushan and bowed. "Mr. Qiushan, you are the strongest out of us all. We are going to listen to your command. Do you think we should keep going?" Ouyang Qiushan was too young. He was young and cocky. He did not have experience. He did not know people could be evil sometimes. He thought everyone was depending on him. He did not know Zhao Juyi wanted to use him as bait. He saw Zhao Juyi was being extremely polite to him, and felt as if they were all relying on him. He said, "We are here to hunt a gene race. We cannot allow ourselves to be scared off by a gene race. I will scout the path ahead to ensure the safety of all." Everyone complimented him. They all made that young, naive man sound like a god. Han Sun and the others developed a wry smile. Ouyang Qiushan was very happy, but he had no clue what was really going on. Peaceful wanted to say something, but she held her tongue and did not speak. This was Ouyang Qiushan's own mess. If she tried to protect him, everyone would become angry. If people started to splinter, the entire trip would become a disaster. While Peaceful was thinking about how to fix this issue, she heard a weird scream come from the mountains. It sounded far away yet also very close. It made everyone feel a bit chilled. Ouyang Qiushan did not say anything. He had his wind-winged snake, so he moved like the wind. He sprinted into the forest. He was looking for the gene race. Peaceful gnashed her teeth and ran into the forest. She felt sad. If I knew Ouyang Qiushan was that naive, I would not have agreed with his master to bring him. Arg. Before Peaceful reached the mountain, there was a scream that made her heart jump. The scream was made by Ouyang Qiushan. Chapter 3053 Purple-haired monkey raging wind blades came flying out of the woods. It was like knives cutting the branches and trees. They quickly cut down a few of them in the forest. Han Sun and the others saw them clearly. The wind blades were coming out of Ouyang Qiushan. The young man's situation was very bad. Ouyang Qiushan was half kneeling on the ground with his hand raised. The wind blades were still exploding. There was a purple shadow on his back tightly holding his body. The arms, which were full of purple fur, went past Ouyang Qiushan's armpit to grab his neck. It made Ouyang Qiushan have to raise his hands. The position he was in was very awkward. That purple-haired monster was like a ghost. It trapped Ouyang Qiushan, bared its fangs, and bit him in the back of the head. Its scary face looked as if it was going to suck out Ouyang Qiushan's brain juice. Not everyone had seen the blood ghost spirit before, so they did not know if this purple-haired, ape-like thing was the blood ghost spirit or not. Fortunately, Ouyang Qiushan's combined gene race was the wind-winged snake. It was a god-class gene race. After combining with his body, he had green snake scales that looked very sturdy. If this was happening to an ordinary person, they would have likely ended up like Old Nine, and get sucked up by that scary gene race until only their hide remained. Peaceful saw that Ouyang Qiushan still had a life force and felt relieved. Her body was combined with a fiery leopard. As this occurred, her claws were like sharp blades carrying a fire that reached out for the purple-haired gene race. Before, everyone was scared of the name Blood Ghost Spirit. They were very frightened. Now the Blood Ghost Spirit did not appear very scary. It was about 3 foot tall, maybe a bit more. Its body was furry, and the fur was purple. Its hair looked very shiny too. Aside from its fangs, it was only a bit scary. It was not an ugly thing. After seeing how it looked, their fear of the beast lessened. Of course, the primary reason for this was because Ouyang Qiushan had not been immediately killed. It made them doubt their initial fears. If it really was the blood ghost spirit, Ouyang Qiushan would have been sucked dry in a flash. He would not have lasted as long as he had. If Ouyang Qiushan had not been murdered, people would not think this was a genuine blood ghost spirit. They did not feel as scared as they did earlier. Seeing Peaceful do something, everyone else pitched in to help. The purple-haired monkey screamed weirdly. It sounded like a baby crying. Its body leaped up and rolled around in space. It bounced away 30 feet to escape deeper into the forest. That damn monkey ambushed me from the bushes. I must kill it. After Ouyang Qiushan was set free, and he was furious. He flapped the wings on his back, carrying himself along with a flurry of gusts, and chased after the purple-haired monkey. Peaceful gnashed her teeth. She ordered everyone to continue the pursuit. She did not really care for Ouyang Qiushan. Normally, gene races remembered who they hated, which tended to be those who offended the gene race. If one could not kill a gene race, the gene race would know that. Even if they did not want to kill in return, they would still want to mess their foe up. If this was not the blood ghost spirit, they had to kill it and not leave any trace behind. Zhao Juyi and the others knew this line of reasoning, which is why they followed Peaceful's commands. Otherwise, they would not have cared about Ouyang Qiushan being dead or alive. The purple-haired monkey moved very quickly. Ouyang Qiushan was combined with the wind-winged snake, so his speed was greater than that of the monkey. Still, the monkey was going around and around in the forest as nimble as it could be. It used the stone and trees as cover. Ouyang Qiushan could not really spread his wings, so he was unable to catch up with it. The purple-haired monkey kept moving and screaming weirdly. It occasionally turned around and made funny faces at Ouyang Qiushan. It made Ouyang Qiushan angrier. He was not ever going to end this pursuit. No one had the speed to match Ouyang Qiushan, so they could only follow from behind. Han Sun was carrying Mr. Yang, so he was at the very back of the group. He had not planned on being first anyway. Mr. Yang was lying on Han Sen's back. He frowned and quietly said, "Mister, something is wrong. It seems as if this monkey is luring us someplace." Han Sen nodded. He had known that was what was happening a long time ago. He just had not said anything about it. He wanted to see where the purple-haired monkey was taking them first. After chasing the pest for a while, they went by a mountain and entered a valley. The purple-haired monkey was still making its escape and jumping like mad. Peaceful and Zhao Juyi thought something was wrong. They were quite experienced, so they were not noobs like Ouyang Qiushan. "Mr. Qiushan, stop right now. Stop chasing after it." Peaceful shouted at Ouyang Qiushan, who was quite far ahead. She sounded very serious. If Ouyang Qiushan's wind-winged snake was not that fast, she would have just stopped him by force and easily caught up. Now, all she could do was shout at him. Ouyang Qiushan did not adhere to her calls. He did not stop. The monkey had made him extremely mad. He just wanted to chase the monkey and cut it into pieces. He did not care for what Peaceful said. He just gnashed his teeth and continued giving chase. This kid is going to experience a bad stroke of luck, Hansen thought. Zhao Juyi stopped in his tracks. No one dared to continue the pursuit. These guys had survived for as long as they had because they were not reckless. They knew when to go forward and when to go back. Peaceful's expression was green for a while. It was white for a while too. She madly shouted, "Qiu Shan, listen up. Otherwise, when we go back, I am going to tell Mr. Ouyang all about your performance today. Sister Peaceful, it is already trapped at a dead end. I can kill it very soon. All you must do is wait a bit longer." Ouyang Qiushan obviously did not want to give up. Peaceful wanted to say something, but she suddenly heard Ouyang Qiushan screaming matched with the sound of roaring from a beast. The beast's scream was like a tiger roaring in a forest. It almost broke everyone's eardrums. Everyone knew that the scream did not belong to the purple-haired monkey. Before anyone figured out what was going on, Ouyang Qiushan ran out from the valley like a mess. A snow-white beast followed him. It was the height of an average human. The beast looked like a tiger, but it was not a tiger. It looked like a lion, but it was not a lion. It had snow-white fur and glowed with a cold light. It looked very powerful and overbearing. That is a Jade Lion King. Run! Zhao Juyi recognized the gene race that the snow-white fiend belonged to. His face changed. After shouting, he turned around and wished to flee. Everyone turned around too. When they did, their expressions changed. Around the valley, along the walls, in the forest, and even at the exit, were many gray-colored jade lions. They were not as overbearing as the Lion King, but they were all just as powerful. Just by their presence, it was obvious that they were not a low-class gene race. Hansen looked casually around. He noticed there were around 70 or 80 jade lions in the area. They all surrounded the group he was with. Only the purple-haired monkey was far away someplace in the mountains. It kept weirdly screaming as if it was celebrating. It was like it was mocking them. Chapter 3054 Trapped in Jade Lion Valley. The King-class Jade Lion King was not scary to Peaceful and the others, even if the Jade Lion King was already an adult. It was just a strong King-class gene race. Since they had come prepared, they could fight a God-class adult gene race. And this was just a King-class gene race. The Jade Lion was a special gene race. Ordinary gene races loved living alone, or living in small enclaves of 2 to 3 others at a time. The Jade Lion was a gene race that loved to live with others. A group of King-class Jade Lion was able to bring about damage that far exceeded what a God-class gene race could bring. Peaceful knew they would probably die there, so they had no choice but to fight until their dying breath or survive. It was fortunate she knew Hansen was powerful. She did not let the fire of hope be fully extinguished in her heart. She bolstered the courage in her heart, looked down, and made a command. Ghost Kill, you and I remain at the back. Zhao Juyi, you guys protect the few misters. Hansen and Qiu Shan. Peaceful stopped when she said that. She was frozen. She was so angry she started shaking. She cared nothing for her image as she began scolding. She was supposed to make Hansen and Ouyang Qiushan cleave a path forward for them. With the strongest 2 people in the front forging a path for them, that would get them out of the Jade Lion Valley. Thus, there would have been a higher chance of them surviving the dangers of the forest. When she looked at Ouyang Qiushan, she saw he was using his wind-winged snake's flying ability to quickly flee and save his own hide. He flew out of the valley and escaped. Peaceful wanted to curse him so badly. When she went to the Ouyang family to visit the Ouyang leader, and Ouyang Qiushan heard she was going to Big God Mountain, he was passionate about lending his services. He called her big sister this and big sister that. He had begged Peaceful to take him on the trip. Peaceful was asked by the leader of the Ouyang family to take him, so she took him with her against her will. She tried her best to be nice to him. If it were not for him, though, none of this would have happened to them. Who would have known Ouyang Qiushan would smack his butt and run off? He did not care if they ended up dead or alive. Peaceful's heart was sinking low. In the next second, her expression suddenly changed. Ouyang Qiushan was flying out of the Jade Lion Valley, But the jade lions could not fly. They were not stopping him. The purple light shadow flashed. They saw the purple-haired monkey was like a bolt of purple lightning. It managed to catch up with Ouyang Qiushan. Ouyang Qiushan felt something was wrong. He turned around. The purple-haired monkey latched onto him from the back, and was on his body. It was going to bite his head. Ouyang Qiushan's scream echoed throughout the valley. The purple-haired monkey's fangs pierced into his head. It was like a demon biting his head hard. Everyone saw Ouyang Qiushan's body become smaller in a very short amount of time. Within a second, he was sucked until only a flap of snake-scaled skin remained. The purple-haired monkey used its claws to grab Ouyang Qiushan's skin. Another claw pierced inside the mountain wall's stone. It pinned Ouyang Qiushan's skin to the mountain's wall just like what had happened to Old Nine's skin. The limbs were stretched as it was pinned to the wall, and blood smeared the area. The purple-haired monkey was still nearby. Its eyes looked weird. It stared at Peaceful and the others weirdly laughing. Its face looked like it was laughing, but it made people feel a chill when they saw it. Everyone realized that the purple-haired monkey's speed was faster than that of the wind-winged snakes combined with Ouyang Qiushan. It feigned weakness earlier to lure them to Jade Lion Valley. Everyone felt a chill. The chill went down their spines and into their hearts. Regardless if they were able to escape the attack of the Jade Lions, even if they did survive, it was unlikely they could escape the hunt of the evil purple-haired monkey. That can't actually be a blood ghost spirit, can it? Everyone started to feel scared. Reality did not have an obligation to let them take their time with all of this. The Jade Lion group was roaring and coming after them. They blocked the way they could not proceed. Hansun, Ghost Kill, you guys clear a path together. Peaceful shouted. Me and Zhao Juyi will stay at the rear. The others can protect the misters. We will sprint out this way. Zhao Juyi and the others were not happy that Peaceful had brought someone like that there, but they knew now was not the time to complain. They listened to her commands, formed a group, and started to leave. Hansun used both hands to hold the metal pillar. He swung it. 7 or 8 of the Jade Lions coming at him were swept away. He did not kill them, but he made all their mouths bleed. Everyone was frozen, but they were instantly happy. Brother Han, you are so powerful. Hansun only smiled in response. He clutched the giant metal pillar and swung it around. The 12-foot-long metal pillar was swung again. He danced like a tiger. The king-class Jade Lions did not dare come close. He formed a path for everyone. Brother Han's power is like a god has descended. I wonder what gene race you have combined with. Brother Han has god power. He can be more than a city leader. I have been living for so many years. Today, I know what a real god power is. The men were shocked, and they complimented him profusely. Although they were just licking his boots, seeing Hansun was that powerful really did surprise them. Everyone had been scared. They were trapped by the lion group, but now things were not looking so glum. Even Zhao Juyi smiled at Peaceful and asked, Lady Peace, where did you locate such a huge noble? It is no wonder you have dared go to Big God Mountain. Peaceful presented a wry smile, but did not say a word. She looked at Ouyang Qiushan's skin on the wall, and felt terrible. She thought, Ouyang Qiushan deserved what happened to him after what he did. This cannot be blamed on anyone, but how do I explain this to the Ouyang family? The powerful Jade Lion group was suppressed by Han Senator. They did not dare try to stop them. Seeing everyone was going out of the Jade Lion Valley, there were some weird screams like a baby crying again. There was a purple shadow flashing through space. The purple-haired monkey was at the entrance of the valley. It bared its fangs and screamed weirdly. Its eyes looked extremely weird. Hansun did not care much for it. He swung his metal pillar and chased away the rest of the lion horde. He hurried their race to the valley's exit. The purple-haired monkey put its middle finger into its mouth and bit down. He then pointed the middle finger at the ground. Purple blood dripped down into the valley's soil. Hansun and the others were wondering what it was doing. Suddenly, the whole Jade Lion Valley started to shake. The Jade Lions started to behave like small, scared cats. They ran off. They were instantly all gone. Ketcha! The valley's ground broke. A giant head came out from the place where the purple-haired monkey leaked its blood. There was a giant, weird snake. What came out of the ground was 30 feet tall. It was as thick as a barrel. The snake looked very weird. Along with its scaly skin, its head had a horn that was crystal and like jade. Chapter 30 55 Lone Sky Dragon. Zhao Juyi was in shock and screamed, "Lone Sky Dragon." When Han Sun heard those three names, he frowned. He had heard that name from a story. It was that thing called King Qin's assassin Mo Li's gene race. It was the one he used. It seemed to be very famous. If that purple-haired monkey really is a blood ghost spirit, and now there is this Lone Sky Dragon, can it really be that much of a coincidence? Han Sen's heart kept flashing with many thoughts. Mr. Yang, who was protected by Zhao Juye's people, shouted, "Mr. Run! This is an adult Lone Sky Dragon. In the Seven Kingdoms, it is a very famous god-class gene race. There is no way for us to fight it." In fact, everyone was running away. The Jade Lion crowd had dispersed, so nothing was looking to impede their flight. Peaceful and Zhao Juyi took people deep inside the valley. Nobody wanted to fight the Lone Sky Dragon. The Lone Sky Dragon was like a snake. Aside from its head having a horn, it did not have claws like a dragon would have. Half of its body was coming out of the ground. It was like a jade-green statue raising its head to hang above the sky. Its pair of weird eyes stared at Han Sun and the others. In the next second, the Lone Sky Dragon opened its snake mouth. Green smoke came out of its mouth. It turned into a pillar of smoke that rushed toward Han's senator. It was incredibly fast. Hansen was unable to dodge it. Hansen did not plan on dodging it anyway. He waved his metal pillar like a lance toward the incoming smoke. Pang! The metal pillar struck the smoke. Hansen's entire body was like an asteroid. He flew away. He traveled a few miles and hit the deepest wall of the valley and broke the wall. Peaceful and the others saw that Hansen unable to take that hit, so they knew it was a genuine Lone Sky Dragon. They were not wrong about that. Peaceful gnashed her teeth. Her body flashed with electric light. It was like an electric eel gene race combined with her body, turning the bottom half of her body into a fish. She was made to look like a mermaid. Her body had weird lightning around it. Peaceful had dared to go ancient Big God Mountain for adventure. She had come prepared for the worst-case scenario. Otherwise, Ouyang leader would not have felt safe about letting Ouyang Qinshan go with her. It was a shame that Ouyang Qinshan had it coming. If he had just stayed next to Peaceful, he might not have been killed. Run! Peaceful's hand pressed on the floor. Electric light and patterns came out together. It wrapped up 15 feet of the surrounding area. Suddenly, the electric light burst forth. Peaceful, Zhao Juyi, and the others disappeared with the electric light. It was like they used a teleportation technique to leave. Only 2 or 3 people were not able to get into the electric light in time. They were still out in the valley, and they looked completely deprived of hope. Seeing Peaceful and the others escape, the purple-haired monkey atop the mountain was furious. It was screaming. The Lone Sky Dragon breathed out green smoke, which billowed like a tide. It suddenly blew the flesh of the 3 men off of their bones. Only 3 skeletons remained. Han Sun was hit by the Lone Sky Dragon and fell into the mountain. It felt as if his entire body was in pain, but he was not heavily injured. Only his skin was a little sore. Although he had been suppressed by that world a whole lot, the strength and sturdiness of his body remained. No matter how scary the Lone Sky Dragon's power was, it could not heavily damage him. The mountain wall had collapsed and buried Han's senator. He tried to break open the rocks. When he used strength, the rocks on his back started to shake. They rolled to the side. Hansen discovered there was a cave behind him. When he frowned, black smoke came out of the gap between the rocks. Hansen thought it was some of the power that the Lone Sky Dragon possessed, but the black smoke generated the face of a woman. It was the woman who wore a night ghost mask. It was Ghost Kill. You took the strike of the Lone Sky Dragon and were not killed. Ghost Kill said with a look of surprise as she studied Han Sr. Your power deserves a place of recognition in this universe. Before, she had felt a little bit upset. She wanted to go and see if Han Sun was dead. If he was able to be saved, She would save his life and get closer to him. That would have made it easier to assassinate Qin Kingdom's crown prince, Qin Bai. No one would have expected Han Sun to only suffer a minor injury. For the most part, he was fine and dandy. Han Sun looked at Ghost Kill and asked, "Why are you here? Where are Mr. Yang and the others?" "Don't worry, Mr. Yang was saved by Peaceful," Ghost Kill coldly said. "Her body has a god-class electric flint eel that can enable her to teleport miles away. I did not have enough time to enter the area of the electric flint eel. I wouldn't have ended up here if I was able to." Peaceful really did come prepared. Han Sun was not surprised. It would have been strange if a person like Peaceful did not come to ancient Big God Mountain prepared. Ghost Kill wished to say something more, but the mountain started to shake. Green smoke was leaking through the gaps between the rocks. The rocks touched by the green smoke started to glow green. They eventually crumbled into green dust. "The lone sky dragon is coming. Can you walk?" Ghost Kill reached her hand out, wanting to hold Han Sr. "Yes, I can walk." Han Sun and Ghost Kill walked into the cave. The cave was fairly large. Many branching paths offered tunnels in different directions. Behind them, noises of the lone sky dragon breaking stone were heard. They did not have to figure out which way to go, so they selected one route and went down it. The lone sky dragon kept chasing them from behind. They also heard the squeals of the purple-haired monkey. Han Sun turned around and saw the purple-haired monkey was riding the back of the lone sky dragon. It was coming at them like mad. Seeing this scene, Han Sun felt even more weirded out. Is that really Mo Li's lone sky dragon and blood ghost spirit? Why are they here? People say Mo Li assassinated the Wei King and died. His gene races must have died too. Why did they end up here in ancient Big God Mountain? This way, Ghost Kill said that from up ahead. She walked into a cave that only allowed one person to press their way through by walking sideways. Han Sun understood what she meant. The lone sky dragon was very big. It would be very difficult for it to squeeze through a small cave like that. If they could prevent it from reaching them, they might be able to gain some distance. Han Sun followed her into a cave. They both traveled fast. Not long later, they heard a big sound. Then, there was the sound of rocks breaking. The lone sky dragon was unable to fit. Every little bit it moved resulted in it needing to break more stone. Its speed was slowed down. Han Sun and Ghost Kill were running for half an hour. The exploding sounds from behind were already growing quiet. The cave ahead started to become wider. Ghost Kill suddenly stopped walking. She looked at the stone walls around and said, "Weird. Why are there signs of people digging here?" Han Sun also noticed it. The stone walls around had many symbols. The drawings were very simple, but it was obvious they were man-made. While Han Sun was observing the wall, his pupils instantly became smaller. He saw a familiar shape in the carvings. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.